My name is Adon Bean, and I am a spoken word poet. I think as I've gotten older and I've started to see fellow artists who have found themselves in need of vital organs, ultimately that is the way that evolved my thinking around this idea of organ donation. I get to continue to tell the story for others, be a little bit of ink in their pen.
When you become an organ and tissue donor, your story continues. Lifelink. Register today at mystorycontinues.com.
Sid and Friends in the morning. 77 WABC.
Keep being President Trump, because that's good enough to win every time. And thank you so much for hopping on with me again today. I love you, pal.
And Sid, make sure we win New York, please. Okay, you have a lot of people listening to this crazy show. You have a lot of people. I don't even think you know it, but you have a lot of people. Will you please make sure that we win New York, okay? I'll put you in charge indirectly, all right?
President-elect Trump saw significant gains in nearly every New York City neighborhood on election night. And while Kamala Harris still won the state, could New York be facing a red wave in future elections?
Fox 5's Morgan Mackay joins us now to break down the numbers. Morgan.
These election results are like muddy tea leaves that both Democrats and Republicans are now trying to read. But look, at the end of the day, Vice President Kamala Harris still won New York. But if you look closer at some of these neighborhoods, they are trending red.
The national and state Democratic Party brand is in a dumpster right now.
Democratic State Senator James Skoufis represents a Hudson Valley district that has trended more purple. But although he won his re-election bid by a 15-point margin, Vice President Kamala Harris lost that district by about 10 percentage points. Skoufis says this should be a wake-up call for Democrats to focus on issues that impact the working class, like public safety and tax relief.
They see the Democratic Party disproportionately talking about, issues that are quite frankly far out of the mainstream, like decriminalizing sex work.
President-elect Donald Trump received 43% of the statewide vote, the highest share for Republicans since 1988. He also picked up votes in New York City, making significant gains in minority neighborhoods. For example, in 2020, Trump did not win a single election district in Corona, Elmhurst, East Elmhurst, or Jackson Heights. But this year, he won 6 election districts in those areas. State Republican Chairman Ed Cox says these are areas of opportunity for local Republicans.
And in Brooklyn and Queens and the Bronx, we have a lot of growth opportunities. The Hispanics are coming our way. They are socially conservative. They are small business people who are working hard. They just want safe streets, good jobs, and good education.
Let's not get too cynical interpreting the results.
As Deputy Senate Majority Leader Mike Gianaris notes, although Democrats were hit hard at the top of the ticket, they were able to pick up 3 House seats across the state. However, Republicans were also able to pick up 1 state Senate seat in Brooklyn, which will cost Senate Democrats their supermajority. Gianaris says this is a sign that Democrats can do more to address health care costs, child care, and education.
These are the things that people speak up about around their dinner table every day, and I don't think we made a compelling enough case for them.
Senate Minority Leader Rob Ortt says the Republicans plan to look at districts where Trump did well this year and use that as a roadmap for where they should focus their efforts on next year.
And so I think we have an opportunity to go after seats in places that historically Republicans have offered no candidate.
Now, one other takeaway from the election, U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand handily won her re-election, but for the first time in her Senate career, she did not get at least 60% of the votes, garnering about 58%. And her opponent, Mike Sapercone, is the first Republican U.S. Senate candidate in New York to win more than 3 million raw votes since 1992.
Elise is as good as it gets. I've got a lot of friends in Congress. I lost one. The Esposito loss. It broke my heart. Lawler, Nicole, they're all my good buddies. There's nobody more impressive than Stefanik. Nobody. And the courage she showed as a Jewish boy from Brooklyn, just hammering all these professors at these universities, should really give her a Nobel Peace Prize. I swear to God, I mean that. And Trump loves her. She was on stage in Milwaukee at the RNC. She was on stage with me and Trump at Madison Square Garden. She was on stage in Palm Beach the other night. I don't know anybody in New York, bipartisan, who doesn't love Elise Stefanik. I have to imagine, and everybody says, I don't want to talk about it, Lee Zeldin earlier, but I have to imagine that Donald Trump, as we speak, is thinking of a very, very good position for you on that White House team. Have you thought about that? Have you had that conversation, or are you just wrapped up in your Congress work?
You know, I always try to do the very best job, that the honor that I've had right now, which is representing New York's 21st District and serving as the House Republican Conference Chair. I know that President Trump is going to appoint the strongest team possible to deliver on his America First agenda and get it done. And listen, you know, we saw in the first term, when you have appointments that are not supportive of the president, you need people that are 100% loyal and understand that it's President Trump that earned the majority of the American people's vote, overwhelmingly won the Electoral College. So he needs strong allies. And, you know, I'm honored to have my name in the mix, but I'm focused on serving the president however that sees fit, whether that's passing the agenda in Congress or serving in his administration. But I know, you know, he's going to put together a stellar team no matter what. I was really pleased to see Susie Wiles was named as his chief of staff. You know, it was just a week ago that Mark Cuban criticized wrongly and smeared all the Republican women that President Trump surrounds himself with. He said, Mark Cuban said, there's no strong or intelligent women around President Trump. Well, look at Susie Wiles. It's just one of many examples. She's making history as the first female chief of staff in the White House, as a Republican, not a Democrat, and a Republican serving as chief for President Trump. It's an amazing day in America, and we have so much work to do. We're ready to roll up our sleeves and get it done.
President-elect Donald Trump is now set to meet with President Biden at the White House on Wednesday, something, of course, he never did for the incoming President Biden 4 years ago.
The president promising a smooth transition. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter here with the latest as we begin to get a clear picture of who will and won't be part of the second Trump administration. Leanne?
Michelle and Jory, President-elect Donald Trump out on the golf course in Florida, accompanied by Elon Musk. After his sweep, apparently, of the battleground states, his transition to the White House now in full swing.
The president-elect's team confirming he will be selecting people to serve in his administration in the coming days and is currently meeting with numerous contenders. Trump making it clear, though, 2 former members of administration will not be returning. Nikki Haley, who served as ambassador to the United Nations, and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. The White House confirming President Joe Biden will meet with Trump in the Oval Office this week. The two set to discuss top domestic and foreign policy issues. The Democrats, meanwhile, assessing what went wrong for the Harris campaign. Influential radio host Charlamagne the God, an outspoken critic of Donald Trump, believes dinner table issues were top of mind for voters.
Every day, people wake up and all they want to do is have more money in their pocket and they want to feel safe. I don't care if you're black, white, gay, straight, whatever religion you are, those are the 2 things that you're thinking about every day.
Trump's allies say they believe the president will be focused on bringing the country together.
I think he cares about uniting the country. I think that is Donald Trump's #1 focus. And I do think we have to get back to a place after this election, after that decisive victory, which I do think was a gift to the country.
President Biden is promising a smooth transition to the second Trump presidency, saying that is what the American people deserve.
In Midtown Manhattan today, a true display of American thanks.
I'm going to say my heart is full. It just means so much.
The annual New York City Veterans Day Parade up Fifth Avenue, a salute to those who have defended and protected this country's shores. More than 20,000 marchers, more than 250 vehicles, 25 floats, and spectators from around the globe. Mark Rustin and his wife live in the United Kingdom.
Boys and girls, they serve us, don't they? And we wouldn't be where we are now without, them having served us and those that are serving at the moment.
Albino Salcida was from Central California in honor of his son, Eric, a veteran of the war in Afghanistan.
I have 4 boys. He was the only one that served, first in my family. Didn't really want him to go, but he convinced me, so there he went, and he came back. He got a Purple Heart.
The parade honors all branches of service.
So everybody that comes to me and say thank you for your service, you're thanking all of our veterans.
A big thank you indeed.
The sacrifice that military families make and our service members make, to defend and protect us. So, and we should honor them every day, but especially today.
Guns N' Roses classic, November Rain, on this Monday morning, new week, Veterans Day, huge day for me. You know, nobody loves the vets and the cops more than me, but November Rain. You know, there's really two reasons why we started this program this morning, me and Lou, with November Rain. One is we're in the month of November, and wow, it's actually raining. It's like the first day in I don't know how long we've got rain. We've been going through this drought. Eric Adams telling everybody to shower like once a week, save some water. But there's a second reason why, besides it's a November morning and it's raining, that we're playing this song. So yesterday in the Daily Mail, which I read every now and then, they did a story on the women, the glamorous, beautiful, smart women surrounding President Donald Trump. So, for example, when I book President Trump for this radio show, and he's been on, 5 times the last couple of years, and he'll be back shortly, I have to go through a girl named Margot Martin. Margot's very bright, very pretty, and very loyal to President Trump. Alina Habba, for example, his attorney. Well, my dear, dear friend, the former star of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Siggy Flicker, she is one of the ladies that is featured inside this Daily Mail column. Real Housewives star Siggy Flicker opens up about life in Trump's trusted circle and his antics behind the scenes. So you're saying, okay, what about November Rain? Well, I'll tell you what. In this article in the Daily Mail, where, again, I think they talked to 5 or 6 different women inside Trump's inner circle, they interview Siggy, and here's exactly what she says. She said he absolutely loves music, so we watch music videos sometimes on YouTube. How about that? Siggy Flicker and President Trump sit there together and watch music videos on YouTube. He loves opera, Donald Trump, Phantom of the Opera, and he loves the song November Rain by Guns N' Roses. She goes on to say he loves, and every letter capitalized, he loves that video, his favorite song. Now, she goes on to say he also loves Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You, and he loves James Brown and Elvis Presley. The only thing he loves more than Melania and his family, talking about Donald Trump, is music. He says, one of the things I also love about him is that he doesn't drink, not ever, always a Diet Coke, and the idea that he's unrelatable because he's a billionaire is just ridiculous. He's the most relatable person I know. You can talk to him about anything. Politics, Israel, food, Diet Coke. Flicker first met Trump through her best friend, his lawyer, Alina Habba. By then, Siggy had been exiled from the Bravo universe. She says she was shunned for her support of Trump. The Housewives of New Jersey producers came to my house, saw my MAGA hats, and they said, quote, do you really support this anti-Semite? They said that to me, Siggy said, the daughter of a Holocaust survivor and the only Jew on the cast at the time. It was unbelievable. So there you have it. Louis, President Donald Trump loves his favorite song, November Rain by Guns N' Roses.
How come we never heard this before?
Isn't that weird?
That's very strange.
Because every time he comes on, we play the Lee Greenwood song, because that's how he enters the stage, of course. But yeah, never heard that before. But Siggy's got the inside info.
It's good to know.
That is good to know.
Good. Now we can watch YouTube videos together. That's great.
Well, I'll tell you what. Next time he comes on, we're going to flip the script and play Guns N' Roses instead of Lee Greenwood.
Good. Yay.
That'll be fun, no?
Yes, of course.
That'll be fun.
That'll be fun.
So he's hard at work. People are saying, well, what is Trump doing now? And he is putting together his new team. He did announce last week Susie Wiles, the daughter of the NFL great former kicker, and, of course, the great play-by-play man, he's long dead, but Pat Summerall, that great 1-2 punch, they're both dead, of Pat Summerall and John Madden. With Thanksgiving coming up, you could appreciate that. Summerall's daughter, Susie Wiles, is Donald Trump's chief of staff, first time a woman has ever been in that role. So it takes a Republican to put a woman in that big slot, not a Democrat. How ironic is that, Noam Laden?
Very ironic.
You like that?
Yeah, I do like that.
And then he continues putting women, even though Mark Cuban says there are no strong and smart women around Trump. Elise Stefanik, the great congresswoman from here, upstate New York, who just beat the living daylights out of all those university presidents, all of them, MIT, Pennsylvania, Harvard, Northwestern, the list goes on. And she's going to have Nikki Haley's old job as the UN ambassador. He did announce, too, talking about Nikki Haley, that for folks who want to see Haley back in the administration, that is not happening. That didn't surprise me. She's a backstabber. I don't want her anyway. But the one that did surprise me was former Secretary of State. He's been on this show a bunch. Mike Pompeo is not coming back. Were you surprised, Noam?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just doesn't want back. Is that possible?
No, I don't think so. They all want back.
You think his message to Pompeo is, don't wait for the phone to ring?
I don't know why, though. Mike did a great job. They got along great. There were no issues. It was weird to me. I don't know. You know, I was looking over last week, and Tom Homan, who's on this show all the time, I think he'll be on tomorrow. He's going to be back as the Border Czar, Lou's favorite guy.
Oh, my God. He's actually scary sounding.
Well, you need that guy at the border. You need a scary guy.
That's why I like him.
Yes.
Of course.
I think he's on tomorrow. He's the Border Czar.
Me, but, oh, my God, I would never want to cross the guy.
No. So I was looking on Wikipedia a couple of days ago as he starts assembling his new team at the old team, you know. And we talked about Susie Wiles last week. And I know I asked you this last week, but I'll ask it again. How many chiefs of staffs did Donald Trump have the first time around?
It was four.
Four, right. John Kelly, that idiot who served this country on Veterans Day. I'm calling John Kelly an idiot, but he is. And then you also had Mark Meadows. You had Rance Priebus. And you had Mick Mulvaney. Those were the four. Then, of course, Mike Pompeo, who will not be back. He was Secretary of State after the failed stay by the former head of Exxon, Rex Tillerson. You remember him, though?
Yeah. That was very short-lived.
Yeah, that was very short-lived. I'm thinking of the other big jobs. What were the other big jobs, I guess, that he had there? I don't remember. But we'll go over it one of the days this week, because when you hear the names, it's like, oh, my God, I forgot about these people. But they all served under Trump, like Mad Dog Mattis. I think he was at one point the Secretary of Defense, another guy that stabbed President Trump in the back. So he's getting ready for a brand new team. But Stefanik was on this show on Friday, and Elise and I have a very nice relationship. She was so good to me at the RNC in Milwaukee. She's got this beautiful little son of hers. He was adorable there. So I asked her about this whole thing and the real possibility. She knew at that point already she was getting it. So did I. I knew on Friday early she was getting this position, but I didn't want to tip it off just yet until it became official. So you heard this in the open. Here it is one more time. Me and Elise from Friday's show talking about the real possibility, which is now done, of Elise Stefanik being the UN ambassador. Cut number 3. I have to imagine, and everybody says, I don't want to talk about it, Lee Zeldin earlier, but I have to imagine that Donald Trump, as we speak, is thinking of a very, very good position for you on that White House team. Have you thought about that? Have you had that conversation, or are you just wrapped up in your Congress work?
You know, I always try to do the very best job that the honor that I've had right now, which is representing New York's 21st District and serving as the House Republican Conference Chair. I know that President Trump is going to appoint the strongest team possible to deliver on his America First agenda and get it done. And listen, you know, we saw in the first term, when you have appointments that are not supportive of the president, you need people that are 100% loyal and understand that it's President Trump that earned the majority of the American people's vote, overwhelmingly won the Electoral College. So he needs strong allies. And, you know, I'm honored to have my name in the mix, but I'm focused on serving the president however that sees fit, whether that's passing the agenda in Congress or serving in his administration. But I know, you know, he's going to put together a stellar team no matter what. I was really pleased to see Susie Wiles was named as his chief of staff. You know, it was just a week ago that Mark Cuban criticized wrongly and smeared all the Republican women that President Trump surrounds himself with. He said, Mark Cuban said, there's no strong or intelligent women around President Trump. Well, look at Susie Wiles. It's just one of many examples. She's making history as the first female chief of staff in the White House, as a Republican, not a Democrat, and a Republican serving as chief for President Trump. It's an amazing day in America, and we have so much work to do. We're ready to roll up our sleeves and get it done.
All right, great job here by one of our Staten Island rebels, dear friend of mine on Staten Island, Johnny Tobacco. He tells me why Mike Pompeo will not be back. I've got a video here of Pompeo with Brian Kilmeade. And according to this little piece that Tobacco sent me, it reads, Pompeo does not want you to see this video. Mike Pompeo supported the Mar-a-Lago raid and Jack Smith's probe into Trump in phony documents case. And this is all taken from Roger Stone's Twitter account. Roger Stone's X account goes on to say Pompeo is out. He's a traitor. He said Donald Trump should be prosecuted for taking home those documents. So according to Roger Stone and Johnny Tobacco, and that makes sense because, you know, all I heard about was this great relationship, Trump and Pompeo. Pompeo was on with me maybe a month ago, and I brought up him going back, and he said, sure, and now he's already been thrown out. He ain't coming back. So it had to be something relatively serious. So I'm going to go with Roger Stone is right on this. What about you, Noam?
Yeah, it sounds right.
Sounds about right. Also, we have to replace Elise Stefanik now. Not going to be easy. And Tobacco's got a pretty good choice. A guy that I really like. A guy that did a very good job running against Chuck Schumer a couple of years ago. And that is Joe Pinion. Maybe Joe Pinion can run for that seat. He's a very impressive guy, loyal guy. I love Joe Pinion. I like that idea. Johnny Tobacco. So we are set to go on this Veterans Day Monday. Going to pay our respects to the brave and courageous men and women that allow us to enjoy our freedoms and liberties in this country every day. I will be at the parade coming up later on this afternoon. You know, I love the vets. But before that, big show, Alex Traiman coming up. He's going to tell us what the Trump victory means to the people in Israel. He is, as he is every day, live in Jerusalem this morning. We'll also talk to the great Curtis Sliwa on this Veterans Day. This lady, a huge part of the Trump win and his transition team. The lovely Tulsi Gabbard will be here. Also, John Catsimatidis, Alan Dershowitz, and yes, the big one, the daughter-in-law of Donald Trump. First time we're going to speak since he won, Lara Trump. A huge Monday morning. Happy Veterans Day, folks. Keep it right here. Sid and Friends in the morning.
Eden Memorial Chapels understands Jewish funerals can take many forms. Some are Orthodox, while others are more conservative or of a Reformed nature. There's no one better. With services close to all New York and New Jersey cemeteries, Eden Memorial Chapels offer fair and balanced pricing and can provide easy transfer of you and your loved ones to Israel. While you're grieving, they're here to take care of all the details so that you deal with less bureaucracy and have more peace of mind. Go to EdenMemorial.com. That's EdenMemorial.com.
You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Entertaining and informative.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
I think now, looking back, we did not fight the enemy. We fought ourselves. And the enemy was in us. The war is over for me now, but it will always be there the rest of my days. As I'm sure Elias will be, fighting with Barnes for what Ra called possession of my soul. There are times since I felt like a child born of those two fathers. But be that as it may, those of us who did make it have an obligation to build again, to teach to others what we know, and to try with what's left of our lives to find a goodness and meaning to this life.
We could all be heroes just for one day. And that great scene at the very end of my favorite war movie. I know we can argue all day. Your favorite, that's fine. If you like Apocalypse Now or Full Metal Jacket or even Forrest Gump. My favorite was Platoon. I really thought that Charlie Sheen was unbelievable in that movie. Hard to believe that not long after that, his career was reduced to, he had the nice sitcom, I guess, for a long time. What was that called? 1.5 Men or something?
Two and a half.
2.5 Men, yeah. But he was such his acting was so good in Platoon, and the next thing you know, he's in one of those movies. He had Part Deux and those stupid comedies.
Well, he was in Wall Street, which was...
Well, that was before that. He played...
Wall Street was before Platoon?
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was after. You're right.
Was after.
He played the great Bud Fox. In Wall Street.
Yeah, that was a crazy
great
ending,
movie.
too, and a good movie.
Him and Gordon Gekko, Michael Douglas, out there on Wall Street. No, you're right. It was Platoon first, then Wall Street. I'm going, this guy's unbelievable. He may be better than his father, Martin.
Don't forget Major League.
But that was more of a kooky, funny role. But he was great. He was great.
But he was good in all
He
these
was
things.
great. But that was that was a comedic role. The other two were really good, serious roles.
What was the pitcher's name?
His name was Rick Nelson or something?
Vaughn.
Oh, Ricky Vaughn. That's right. Ricky Vaughn. Yeah, Ricky Vaughn. Shout out to our dear friend from Victims' Rights here in New York, even though now she lives in Florida, our friend Jen Harrison, talking about Mike Pompeo. She says Rick Grinnell is a much better Secretary of State. I love Rick. You know, you may not know this, but when I went to campaign for President Trump in King of Prussia, the very last Saturday in the great state of Pennsylvania, just 3 days before the election, I went there with Bill White, and Bill White and Rick Grinnell run that group, the Log Cabin Republicans. Rick Grinnell, the first openly gay cabinet member, and Trump was the one to appoint him. Amazingly, Trump hates the gays, but he appointed Rick Grinnell. Trump hates women, but he appointed Susan Wiles. Trump hates blacks, but he appointed Ben Carson. Trump hates Jews, but he's best friends with Bibi Netanyahu. What am I missing here, Noam?
I think you got it all covered, maybe.
You think I did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe Pinion is actually listening. How about that? After Tobacco recommended him for Elise Stefanik's position. But I want to get to one other story before we get back to the serious stuff that happened on Friday. You guys may remember when locally 880 WCBS decided to close its doors, that I took a lot of the credit. Maybe that's the wrong word, but we'll go with it. That I took a lot of the credit for putting that station out of business, even though my dear friend Chris Olivero, who runs all of the Odyssey stations in New York and listens to me every morning, by the way, not Boomer, me, okay, as does Tim McCarthy and Tom Cuddy and everybody else. So I took the credit for putting them out of business because I was killing them. I was killing them in the morning. So how are you going to have a news station? They already own 1010 Wins Odyssey. And 1010 Wins does well, although in the 12-plus demographic, which is a demographic that news stations tend to care about, I beat 1010 Wins, too. Beat everybody, actually. So CBS couldn't compete. And they went out of business. And, of course, the Sid detractors are like, man, this guy, he's out of control. His ego, he's a narcissist. He's out of control. But I'm sorry, if you looked at the landscape of New York radio, was that a crazy statement to make? No.
No. I think that was a fair statement.
Fair statement. Thank you. Okay. So here's the next part now. So Friday, Clear Channel announces that Len Berman and Mike Riedel, two very nice men. I'm friends with both of those guys. And both have a modicum of talent. Len mostly with sports and Mike with Broadway. But together, God bless both of them, they put on the worst radio show in the history of radio. It wasn't bad. It wasn't okay. It was impossible. And the ratings there were even more of a mismatch than what I did to CBS. For example, they would get, without knowing the exact demo and what exactly Nielsen is rating, they would get numbers in the 2s, and I would get numbers in the 6s. 12 plus, no one comes close to me. Nobody in New York comes close. 2s and 6s. So if your math is just okay, you may figure out that's triple. So now you're paying two salaries. I don't know what they were making, but I'm sure it was decent money. Probably combined, they make more than me. And I'm killing them. I'm basically putting that station out of business. And all day long, they can't catch up. Is that not fair to say?
That is completely true, yeah.
Okay, so they got rid of him on Friday. So in the last 2 months, the CBS morning show with the very popular, I guess, Wayne Cabot, who's a super guy, nice guy, but couldn't have been too popular. And now Len and Mike, they're all gone. So any real news competition in the morning outside of 10-10 wins, not going anywhere, has been removed in the last couple of months. And I'm supposed to believe from my detractors that I've got nothing to do with it. All this is cost cutting. So I'll ask you this. Cost cutting, okay? Let's say, let me give you this example. Let's say that Len and Michael were getting 6s like I get, and I was getting 2s like they get. Simple question. Are they still working today?
No. I mean, they still working. You wouldn't be working
right.
today. Yeah.
I'd be the one fired, not them. So I'm getting 6s, they're getting 2s, and all these shows are going away. But I'm supposed to believe that I have nothing to do with that. That is just cost cutting. Well, yeah, it's easy to cut costs when your show is getting cremated. Cremated. Right or wrong? Lewis, any thoughts on this? You work with those guys.
Nope. I think you're entirely right. Much easier.
Somebody on the message board said neither show makes money, and John Catsimatidis, because he's a billionaire, can afford the loss, so he doesn't care. Oh, hold on a second. You genius.
Oh, come on.
He doesn't
Somebody wrote that?
Yeah. Your guy snippet. You think that John Catsimatidis is in this business to lose money? He doesn't care? I'm not saying I make this station billions of dollars. I'm not saying that. But I'm clearly the number one revenue guy at this station by a long distance, and I'm hammering the competition. But none of that goes into this equation that CBS is gone, Len and Michael are gone, none of that. It's just, quote, cost cutting. Come on, Noam.
So at CBS, they replace those guys with some sort of sports network, right? A national sports network?
ESPN.
ESPN, yes.
Right.
And then what are they doing over at WOR today?
I don't know. I've heard rumors that maybe they're going to bring in Cabot. Now, wait a second. If this is cost cutting, Cabot has to make money, no? He's not going to take $1. I know he needs work. And also, I already hammered Cabot when he was at CBS. I don't know him. He seems like a great guy. He's been very supportive of me and defended me on different occasions here in New York, so I got nothing but love for the guy. But I've already creamed him. You want to bring him to a different station? What's that going to do? Look, there's a moral to this story, okay? Shut up, Lou.
I'm listening to you. I'm listening to the moral. I like to, maybe they're bringing in David Lee Roth, you know what I mean?
That worked out well after Howard Stern. I don't care who they bring in. My wife Danielle kept asking me, I don't care if they bring in Hannity, Howard Stern, if they bring back Imus and Bob Grant from the dead. It doesn't matter to me, because I'm going to say this with the most complete confidence. Nobody is beating me and this show in the morning in this genre. That's it. All right? That's it. I know I can't beat Boomer in 12 plus. Well, of course not, jackass. That's 25 to 54-year-old men, and 47% of my audience is women. Which matters, and they do rate that, and it does sell. So, if you want to do a news talk show in the morning in New York, I don't care who you are, you're going to lose to me and us. That's it. Anybody want to argue that?
No, I'm just trying to figure out, can you suggest a winning combo that might work at WOR?
Well, what do you mean by work? Get a 3? So only double their ratings? What do you mean by work?
Well, that
they're going to catch me?
Yeah.
Well, we'd have to think of some crazy person.
See, here's the problem. These idiots on the board, they start going, well, why don't they put on Dan Bongino? Listen. Go for it, baby. Put on syndicated radio. So when there's a Yankee World Series or when Trump wins New York and some syndicated radio host is talking about going to a hot dog party in Nashville, Tennessee, good luck beating me. So all these wonderful syndicated radio hosts that all you guys love, they get no ratings in New York. None. Sean Hannity, he gets nothing here. Nothing. Even Levin, who loves Levin more than me, he doesn't get big ratings in New York. This is a very, very centric town, I should say. They want to hear what's going on here. New York, Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia. They don't care about any place else. They just don't. So you can bring on all these wonderful syndicated radio hosts that make a lot of money, a lot more than me, a lot more, that are on 100 stations, and they're not going to work here against me. Because guess what? We're talking about the Knicks, the Jets, the Giants, Elise Stefanik, New York turning purple. That's all you guys care about. You're not driving to work right now in Brooklyn or Queens or Manhattan, interested in what's going on in Des Moines, Iowa. Right? So they got to find local hosts that are more local in New York than me. In a town where Donald Trump just did well and he won the presidency. And, oh, by the way, I happened to speak at Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden. Who are you going to get?
Let me think about this.
What's Alan Sniffen doing?
Yeah.
There's only one guy I can think of.
Who's that?
Curtis.
Oh.
Because he would have to give up John, and Curtis has 19 wives and 6,000 children, needs every paycheck he gets. But he's crazy enough to think that he can beat me. Of course he can't. But he's crazy enough to think he can. So maybe Curtis would entertain the idea, because he wants to do a morning show. He's great with me, and he's a super guy, but, he don't want to do 12 to 1, let's be honest, the overnight weekends. He fancies himself a morning guy. So he'll go over there, and I'll kill him, too. It doesn't matter. I mean, I love him. In fact, I'll still put him on this show. He can do mornings at WOR, and I'll still put him on at 7:15 on our show. That's how not worried I am about anybody in this town coming close to me.
How great would that be?
Anybody.
That's the confidence level right there.
Yeah,
okay.
You can still come on. You can syndicate it on both. How about that? Tom Cuddy would love that. We've got important stuff to do today. I wanted to get that out because I read all this stuff. Sid's ratings has nothing to do with it. Nobody cares about 12 plus and it's revenue and they were cost cutting and okay. Like you said, no. Switch it around. I'm getting 2s. They're getting 6s. Who's on the air today? Who's not?
If iHeart was smart, they would back up a Brinks truck outside your house in Queens today.
Well, we know that already. But we don't know how smart they are, so. No. And plus, they can't do that because I'm still under contract here.
That's true. That's a problem. Yeah.
Right. But in 13 months, they may want to talk. I don't know.
We're on the right track, Noam. That was.
Yeah.
I gotta give you that one.
But I'm not going anywhere because I love John and Margot and Chad. I love this station, and I want to be here the rest of my life. But to your point, it would be smart of them, to do that. But we will see. It's all fun and games till somebody suffers a nosebleed.
Look what the Knicks did. The Knicks were thinking of getting Jordan over here because they couldn't beat him.
And how'd that go?
It didn't work.
Yeah, no.
It didn't work.
Knicks lost again yesterday, too. Boy, yesterday was a crappy sports day. The Giants will find a way to lose. The mark of a really bad organization, just so you know, is no matter what, you'll find a way to lose.
And that was a great way to lose yesterday.
They've had one winning season in 10 years. If you go to Giant Stadium, honestly, you're part of the problem. It's kind of like voting for Democrats. Stay away. Don't let John Mara make money. They've had one winning season in 10 years. They got this dopey coach, this dopey GM, This dopey quarterback, this poor rookie running back, he fumbled, but the truth is he played a good game.
Yeah.
But they stink. They stink every year. They had one good year 3 years ago. That was it. Getting all the way back to the Ben McAdoo playoff team. The Jets, that's done. That's over. Steve Serby just eviscerated Rodgers today. And while Rodgers was terrible yesterday, how about the defense? Every time Kyler Murray got the ball, he scored. Every time. What happened to this great Jet defense? They were making comparisons. See, be careful with July. In July to the 85 Bears. This guy, Sauce Gardner, he can't tackle me. And then the Knicks lost, too. They blew a 10-point lead in Indiana and lost by 11. So not a great day for local sports, but we get very serious now. We go to Alex Traiman, my dear friend, JNS.org in Israel. We're going to talk about what the Donald Trump victory means to the folks in Israel. So we'll get a look at traffic with Veterans Day, a whole bunch of street closures coming up. And we'll talk about Trump's win, what it means to Israel with Alex Traiman. All that coming up.
I wish you could swim like dolphins. Like dolphins can swim. Though nothing will keep us together. We can beat them forever and ever. Oh, we can be heroes just for one day.
This is Sid on Sports. Sponsored by Peerless Boilers on 77 WABC.
Justin Ellick here with your bottom of the hour sports update, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com, paviliontankless.com. Fun to deal under you. They are the world's best built boilers. Started with a local NFL recap and the New York Football Giants in Munich, Germany, where they fall to a lowly 2-8 on the season with a 20-7 overtime loss to the now 3-7 Carolina Panthers. They won the coin toss to start overtime, but rookie running back Tyrone Tracy fumbled on the first play from scrimmage, and Josie Jewell recovered at the 23 for the Panthers. And it wouldn't be enough. Daniel Jones on offense for the Giants, 22 for 37 for 190 yards and 2 interceptions, I should say. Tracy had 18 carries for 103 yards and a touchdown for the Giants. Up next for them, a bye week before they host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 12. Out in Arizona, the Jets took it on the chin as well, but in much more convincing fashion, losing to the Cardinals by a score of 31-6. New York, now 3-7, has lost 6 of its last 7, failing to build off the momentum of last week's win over the Texans. Aaron Rodgers completed 22 of 35 passes for 151 yards, and Breece Hall ran for 52 yards. Not much going on offense for the Jets. Up next for New York, they'll return home to face the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. Week 10 action will wrap up tonight with the 2-6 Miami Dolphins in L.A. for Monday Night Football against the Rams. Kickoff is scheduled for 8:15, and L.A. currently sits as 2.5-point favorites. On the NBA hardwood in Atlanta, the Knicks fell 132-121 to the Pacers, falling.
That would be Indiana.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, you said Atlanta. That's okay.
Why do I keep saying Atlanta?
I don't know.
I did that this morning, too. Indiana. Yeah, I don't know why. The Knicks fell to 132. 131. Yeah, well, there you go. Especially on a Monday. My God. Right. They're 4-5 on the young year right now.
You're probably out drinking and watching the Eagles.
No, actually. I was still recovering from Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you seemed quiet yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, you did your work. You texted me. You booked all the guests. You did a great job.
And the Eagles were pretty stress-free. So.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah, that one was easy.
Dallas is.
Oh, my God. What a nightmare. Jeez. Right? I mean,
Jerry Jones gave all that money right before Week 1 to both Dak Prescott, he's out for the year, and C.D. Lamb, who drops a wide-open touchdown.
Yeah.
And they can't win. They're not even competitive.
And then he blames his son.
I know he did. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, he wants to put up curtains.
Yeah, CD.
Yeah, what is this, the Emerald City of Oz? My God. As for the Nets, they're back in action tonight in New Orleans. Tip-off there set for 8 p.m. That's your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com, paviliontankless.com. Fun to deal under you. They are the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Sid and Friends in the morning. 77 WABC.
No issue with respect today. Massive respect for our brave men and women who, as you just heard me talk about there, along with Tunnel to Towers and WABC, respecting those folks who support our liberties and freedoms every day. Big parade coming up later on this afternoon. I'll be there. WABC will be there. Trolley, they got all these shows. John will be there. Catsimatidis. He'll join me in the 8 o'clock hour. Curtis, the great Curtis, he'll be doing his show from there. And Greg Kelly, thank you for your service. He served this country proudly. He'll be out there this afternoon, too, from 1 to 3. Noam Layden, who did not serve this country, but does a tremendous job with the news every day. He'll be out there. And don't forget, talking about serving this country, Tulsi Gabbard, who I believe played a huge role in the Trump victory. I really believe that. A former Democrat turned Republican and huge Trump supporter, now on the Trump transition team. She served this country proudly. She'll join me coming up at 7:45 this morning. Alex Traiman, my main man, the CEO of JNS.org. Love him out there live in Jerusalem this morning. I'm Yisrael Chai. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Sid. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to have you back on the program. I wanted to talk to you in Israel, since Trump won last Tuesday, and I know it's always anecdotal when I talk about my personal stories, but when I was there with you not that long ago, about 5 weeks ago, walking around all parts of Israel from Judea and Samaria to Gaza to, of course, Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, almost every Jew I bumped into wanted Donald Trump to win. He did win. So tell me what the mood was like on Wednesday in Israel after the Donald Trump victory.
Yeah, well, amazingly, there's probably more people per capita in Israel on a percentage basis that were happy that Donald Trump became president of the United States than there are Americans.
True. You're right.
After Trump is probably more popular in Israel than in almost any other country around the world, to be honest.
Let me stop you for a second. When you say that, I believe that's true. And we know what Trump did for Israel. We've been going with this for 4 years, right? Moving the embassy to Jerusalem, recognizing the Golan Heights, the Abraham Accords, no more cash, crushing the Iran deal. We get all that. But my contention is this, is that not only do the Israelis appreciate what Trump did, but a lot of Israelis, I want to tell you, on Monday, October the 9th, 14 months ago, they were behind Biden. And they are no longer behind Biden. So my contention is part of the reason why Trump became so popular was, they missed him, but this administration, Biden, Harris, Blinken, all these phonies, they turned out to be anything but pro-Israel. Is there anything right to what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, certainly people got behind Biden on October the 9th because we didn't have a choice. Trump just wasn't the president then. We were hoping that despite all of the pressure that we've received over the last several years from the Obama administration and from the Biden administration, that, in our hour of need, that the Biden administration was going to come around and realize that Israel had to do what it had to do. But you see that this war is dragged on and on and on because of red lights that have been put in front of the IDF, in front of Prime Minister Netanyahu. Netanyahu has carefully steered through and around and over those red lights and has managed to really succeed in moving the war forward in a positive way, despite the fact that really the Biden administration turned into a frenemy, at best, and an adversary, at worst. And there's a feeling now that President Trump is going to put the full weight of the United States diplomacy and military behind the state of Israel to go finish these wars against the Hamas in Gaza, against Hezbollah in Lebanon, and hopefully even against Iran itself, and hopefully even take out the nuclear facilities, which are the greatest threat to regional stability.
Yeah, let's not forget that President Trump stuck his foot on the neck of Iran. Over 1,500 sanctions. He averaged one sanction a day. They were completely broke. And in very, very quick time, Biden and Harris and all these animals, they made sure that they weren't broke. And they started to fund all these proxies, the Houthis and Hamas and Hezbollah. And now you got yourself a war. But let's not forget, this is personal with Trump, too. I mean, they just arrested 3 guys less than a week ago here that are trying to kill Donald Trump. So not only is Trump pissed at Iran for what they did to Israel because he's very pro-Israel, but they're trying to kill him. That's even better for you guys, yes?
I would think so. You know, we see that Trump likes to take things personally, and, you know, it shouldn't just have to be personal. You know, what Iran has done, you know, it used to be back in the day, if a country would come in and destabilize so many other countries, that the United States would be the global policeman and put a stop to it. And here you have Iran has completely destabilized Iraq, completely destabilized Syria, destabilized Lebanon, destabilized Gaza, destabilized Yemen. The whole region's up in flames. Israel's fighting a 7-front war right now. And Iran has sent hundreds of ballistic missiles directly at the state of Israel. So, you know, people are looking at the United States right now and they're just laughing. I do expect that President Trump is going to restore law and order in the region, and that starts by taking out the heads of the largest state sponsor of terror, not only in the region but around the world. And just wait to see. These guys are saying they're racing towards nuclear weapons. You see what they've done before they have nuclear weapons. If these guys cross the nuclear threshold, I mean, God help us all.
Yep.
Honestly,
You're right.
It could be horrific.
No, it could be. You're right. There was a report last week, and, you know, the Trump haters say it's not true, it's not true, it's been proven not true. But there was a report that Hamas last week, literally moments after Trump won, was like, okay, we give up, we're done. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was in Newsweek, I believe. Any truth to that Hamas, after Trump won, was like, all right, let's figure this thing out?
Well, you know, they're still fighting going on, but I do believe that Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas, they understand that the gig is up. You know, they always thought that the Biden administration would prevent Israel from going the distance, and fortunately, Israel has had numerous successes in the war, but now has the biggest success of all, which is getting the United States clearly back on its side. And you heard Netanyahu, he released a statement just yesterday saying that he's spoken to Donald Trump 3 times already since the election.
And by the way, that's important because Joe Biden went months, him and Harris went months without speaking to Bibi.
Right. And Netanyahu in this statement said that he and President Trump see eye to eye on the Iranian threat. So, I mean, that's delivering a very, very strong message. And if you recall, right before the election, there were big threats that Iran would retaliate once again against Israel. They were saying that this time they might send as many as 400 ballistic missiles at Israel, either on the day before the election, on the day of the election. Well, guess what? The election came and went, and everybody sees that Donald Trump won by a landslide, and nobody is reporting that Iran is right on the cusp of sending an attack. Message delivered. I think that they understand that if they do this now, that they're going to become the targets. So, you know, they're definitely recalculating, and they're going to have to figure out what their new strategy is. They may try to play very nice right now and bring these conflicts to a close, just in the hopes that they don't get blown to smithereens themselves.
God, I love that. See, that's great news, talking about these countries, these enemies, but everyday folks, it's still bad out there. Anti-Semitism is still horrendous, Donald Trump or not. We saw what happened, that pogrom in Amsterdam last week. That was brutal. And I have to tell you that today, this is unbelievable. On the campus of Columbia University, at this point, you shouldn't be shocked about anything, but on the campus of Columbia University here in New York on Veterans Day, when most New Yorkers and most proud Americans will honor the brave men and women who make the sacrifice every day, they're actually honoring the martyrs, they're calling them. And those are the folks that carry out Hamas, the Intifada, all those. Right here on a New York campus, they're not honoring our veterans, they're honoring Hamas and these other militants. It's hard to believe. So Trump wins, but whether it's Amsterdam or Columbia here in New York, there are still very scary things going on promoting anti-Semitism all across the world.
Yeah, well, you know, the American people spoke and said that they don't want any more of this progressive wokeism being installed throughout all the infrastructure in the United States. But as like General Michael Flynn tweeted this week, he said the election is not the victory. The election is day one. And so the question is going to be, what can Donald Trump do to make sure that universities that promote this type of anti-Israel and anti-Semitic behavior on the campuses become ineligible for federal funding.
By the way, just so you know, I had Elise Stefanik on this show on Friday. You remember, Alex, when she hammered the presidents of MIT, Harvard, Penn, Northwestern, and I asked her that. I said, that flat-out question on Friday, she's now going to be, of course, the UN ambassador, but I said, hey, what can Donald Trump do to stop it? And she said exactly what you just said. He's going to stop allowing funds to these universities. Bottom line.
Yeah, there's a lot of tools, and I think that Donald Trump now has the experience to know how to use the leverage. I mean, he's a businessman at the end of the day, and he's going to figure out how to use the leverage that he has to get the policies that he wants accomplished done. You mentioned Elise Stefanik and going over to the UN, which is a place where Israel definitely needs a lot of support. And even though Trump won the election, there's still about 70 days until he takes office. And so there's definitely worry here in Israel that the Biden administration could seek to harm Israel, even by doing things as abstaining from nasty resolutions against the Jewish state in the UN Security Council, that the International Criminal Court could begin issuing arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu and other members of the defense establishment here, that you could have advances in the South African charges of genocide against Israel at the International Court of Justice. And the Biden administration could still allow these things to happen. They could slap sanctions on other residents in Judea and Samaria and elsewhere in Israel. So there's definitely things that the Biden administration can do, and it will be up to President Trump during this period to, again, to make it clear what leverage he has against all of these institutions if they do try to take advantage of this period and try to level harm on Israel before he steps into office.
Although Biden, of course, is saying all the right things. In fact, Biden's going to meet with Trump at the White House. He's invited Trump to come by 11 a.m. Wednesday morning, something that Trump did not do for Biden. Biden is going to do it and kind of hand off the football. And he also said he will be at the inauguration. So, one breath he says threat to democracy, but the next breath he says, okay, we'll figure this thing out. On the way out, the American government sucks. Now it doesn't. We got Trump. But this administration, for the better part of 3.5 years, sucked in every aspect, and especially when it came to you guys in Israel. But in all fairness, when our men and or women went to Israel, or even around the world there when the Houthis were attacking to help protect you guys, they did a tremendous job. They always do. So on this Veterans Day here in the United States, what is your message, Alex Traiman, from Jerusalem to the brave men and women that fight for you guys, too, here in America?
Yeah, for a country over here that has just so many veterans, and we literally have had over 300,000 soldiers, pick up arms in this last 13 months. So, we understand that having the freedoms that you have doesn't come free. The state of Israel was not just built on the Bible. It was built with a Bible in one hand and a gun in the other. And we still have to raise arms, and people have to appreciate the freedoms that they have, and people have to be willing to put their lives on the line to defend those freedoms. When people are willing to put their lives on the line to defend the freedoms, that's what makes the country great. I think that's what makes Israel great. America doesn't fight those wars anymore with the same type of intensity that we're fighting them over here. It's much more existential. But people in America should realize that their country was built on the backs of individuals that were willing to give up their lives to defend their freedoms. Well said, Alex. You are the best, man. Alex Traiman, the CEO of JNS.org. Any news you want on Israel, any news, that's the place to go, JNS.org. Happy Veterans Day, and I'll see you very, very soon right here in New York, Alex. Thank you so much. Looking forward. Thanks so much, Sid. Me too, buddy. Great job. Alex Traiman, once again, the CEO of JNS.org. That wraps up hour number 1. What a huge hour number 2 on this Monday, Veterans Day, coming up. Curtis Lee was always great. Curtis is coming up next with a bunch of things to talk about. And then
talking about heroes in America. She's a veteran herself and a major reason, in my opinion, why Donald Trump won. Our friend Tulsi Gabbard. Sliwa and Gabbard coming up next hour.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
But you say he's just a friend. Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
Oy.
From the great movie Rocky IV, right before Drago killed Apollo Creed, James Brown, Living in America. And thanks to the column in the Daily Mail yesterday, we found out from my dear friend, my sister Siggy Flicker, that President Trump loves James Brown. We also played November Rain to start today's program about 84 minutes ago by Guns N' Roses. According to Siggy, that's his favorite song. He also loves Elvis Presley and Sinead O'Connor. Nothing compares to you. But this is a great song, Living in America, on this Veterans Day holiday. Nobody loves the vets more than me, than this station, than us. Me, John, Margot, Chad, Curtis. Vets and cops. We love them. And that's why I'm a proud Republican today, not a crappy Democrat. And that's why Donald Trump won, because he feels the same. You can actually meet Curtis today. This is pretty cool. I know that WABC has the trolley out there, but you can meet Curtis today. He is broadcasting live on the corner of 30th and 5th. He'll do the rip and read. His brave, beautiful son, Anthony, he's going to be there too. So you can see Curtis and Anthony from noon to 1. Curtis is going to stick around and kiss some babies and shake some hands. And Greg Kelly, thank you for your service, Greg. A very, very brave serviceman himself will take over from 1 to 3 from that same exact spot. So a big day coming up for you, Curtis.
Yes, and I will actually tell the story of when citizen Donald Trump saved the Veterans Day Parade that was going to be discontinued.
What year was that?
They ran out of money. I believe it was the last year of David Dinkins. And he came to the rescue, and ever since, it has continued on. The tradition has continued.
So you're back on Trump's good side? Because the other day you were mad at Trump. You said he was election interference because of Eric Adams.
Yes. Well, remember, we've had a love-hate relationship over many years, and we will continue to have that. But he wrote me a personalized letter because I spoke at the 69th Armory, the Fighting 69th, when he was sitting there. And I praised him for saving the parade.
Oh, this is going back like 20-plus years ago.
Yeah, so, and that's why I'm saying I've had a love-hate relationship. But I'm going to tell the story because it is all true.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's fair for me to say that outside of Nancy and your children, that everybody in your life, including me, is basically a love-hate relationship? Everybody.
Yeah, everybody. Everybody. And although we did not serve in either the Coast Guard, the U.S. Air Force, the Marines, the Navy, or the Army.
Talking about the Marines, yesterday was the Marines' 249th birthday. So, again, happy Veterans Day today, but happy birthday to the Marines who turned 249 yesterday.
But we are veterans of radio. I've got a few more years than you, 35 years going on 36.
Oh, you're the man.
And you are soon having an anniversary of when you came to WABC, your longest stint ever in radio without getting sacked.
Not even close. 4 years, I think, at WFAN. And to Curtis's point, on January 27th, which is only a couple of months away, January 27th, 2025, that'll mean 9 years at WABC.
And we have been friends and foes over the years.
Many times. You used to come on my show down in Florida. You used to make fun of me. You're going to Delray today. You're getting your schmear at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But when it came time to replace Geraldo Rivera, who got no ratings. I like Geraldo personally, but he was a disaster. And they were kicking him out like Imus. And they started talking about possible replacements. And the names Sid Rosenberg and Bernie McGurk came up. 4 or 5 people were very enthusiastic about that pairing, including you.
And the one who stabbed you in the back because he was already meeting with Mike Lupica behind your back was news director Noam Laden.
Yes, he did. But I got him fired not long after that for Juliet Huddy, so I got my revenge.
Right, but that was January 27th of 2016. See, I keep a radio diary.
Yeah.
So I want your enemies at the New York message board and your friends at Barrett Media to be listening intently.
That's so funny you say that. I got a text message from Garrett Seabright, happens to be one of the best writers at Barrett Media. He said, I can't wait to hear your show on Monday because we want to write about the newest station to fall apart going up against you, but we want to hear your comments and now Curtis's comments first.
You made me cry on August when Wayne Cabot, 44 years in this business, said the final words on the great iconic station 880 AM WCBS, one of the first licensed in America.
It was one of the worst goodbye statements I've ever heard. Zero emotion.
44 years.
I don't care if it was 140 years. There was zero emotion.
And you stomped all over him and his colleagues.
Yes, I did.
You have become a morning radio slayer. And then on Friday, with the demise of Lem Berman and Michael Reeder, who you claim are your friends.
They're very good friends of mine.
Likewise, you danced all over their grave. You wouldn't even sit shiva for them. You wouldn't even bring the Hamantash.
If you go on social media today, whether it's Instagram at Rosenberg.Sydney or Sid Rosenberg on Facebook, when I actually put the story up 3 days ago, I wrote, you can see that it's still there right now, both very nice, talented guys. You think I was lying?
Let me tell you something. You have so much knockers now. You have a second notch on your belt. So I got to stop you, Sid. I got to stop you.
Oh, you're going to join those assholes on the New York message board that are telling me it's not about my performance, it's about cost cuts?
No. I'm going to go one better because this is bigger than you or me, Sid.
What?
This is about saving America. Follow me if you will. Indulge me if you will. Because the guy who knows as much about radio, if not more than you, is sitting behind the controls here, right?
I would give you that. Lou Ruffino is doing this for over 30 years and ran the board for IMIS. And IMIS was legendary, whether you've got number 1, number 2, number 3, and had a lot more to do with the success of that show than people are aware of. So I'll give you Lou Ruffino as one of the great radio minds ever.
Without a doubt, and I'm working to get him in the Fordham University, Vince Scully Hall of Fame, proud graduate, Fordham Ram, hanging out constantly at Kingsford Road, at Beefsteak Charlie's, and most importantly at WFUV, okay? I made my case there. Yet he said this morning, the only way WOR can survive in the mornings and stem the flow because they're bleeding is they got to think of some crazy person in the morning.
Well, before we think of a crazy person in the morning, you call them WOR, you usually say women's only radio.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh-huh. So now, all of a sudden, the knocks are going away. Let me guess who that crazy person may be.
Well, who's crazier than me?
Nobody.
Exactly. When I walk in the hood, as you know, they give me mad love. What do they say? That's one hell of a crazy white boy.
They do that.
I mean, that is my nickname, my nom de guerre. Now, let me explain to you this history here.
I want to hear this.
It was December 3rd, 2007. You see in my radio diary book here. I miss, and the great Bernard McGurk, we miss him dearly. They were going back and forth about the Rutgers Scarlet Knights ladies basketball team.
Thank you for leaving me out of that.
You weren't there.
Oh, I was there.
Oh, you were. But you were a person of no consequence that scene. In that scene.
Well, no. Not even close. Unfortunately, I was doing sports from Miami that day.
Yes.
Because fat, stupid Chris Carlin was on his honeymoon. And if you go and look at the video of that horrible day, what you're going to notice is at the bottom of the screen, which everybody played from Nightline to Barbara Walters, you name it, it reads Sid Rosenberg, $7.90 the ticket. That was the station I was at that morning.
But you were not there.
Oh, I was there.
But you weren't a participant in what caused the demise
yes, I was.
Of Imus.
I was on live, and I got to tell you something else. I call Bernard every morning from Miami at 5:45 because I was in Miami, he was in New York, and I would say, hey, Bernie, what does the I-Man want to talk about today? And on that morning, he said to me, he wants to talk about the basketball game. And I said, what basketball game? He said, Rutgers. I said, what? I didn't watch that. He goes, just bring it up.
But
so I brought it up. And I was the one who Spike Lee ripped apart on Oprah Winfrey because he gave me credit for Imus's comments.
But you were not in the Astoria studios. You were not
I was in Miami.
Right.
Neither was Imus.
I understand.
Imus was in Secaucus.
Oh, he was not.
Right.
So here it is. He gets sacked December 3rd, 2007. Yeah. You're all on the shelf. And who did he meet with first in order to try to get back in the morning? Because remember, his attitude is, I am a morning guy, and I got a team that I got to feed, right? Because that's the way it was.
Well, not really, but okay.
He met with a guy named Richard Buckley at WOR, one of the last family-owned talk radio stations, and they were prepared to bring him on.
Very good, Curtis, yes.
I was at WABC at that time with Ron Kuby, whose mom you was a commie. Everybody there, including Sean Hannity, the rock-ribbed all-American conservative voice of reason from Franklin Square, Long Island, told me, don't worry about it. They're not going to remove you. So things went south with Richard Buckley and Imus. And who walks into the control room but Lou Ruffino? I've told you that story many times. And he was looking around like the cat that swallowed the Tweety bird, smiling at me. And I looked at Ron Kuby and I said, we're dead men walking here. They're bringing Imus over. And Ron said, no. Everybody promised us. Sean had said, it ain't happening. It ain't. I said, I'm telling you, that Snake Suleiman used to work with him over at WFAN, who was the CEO of Citadel at that time. They owned WABC. Yeah. I said, the deal is done. We're getting fired. I looked at the books. His ratings have plummeted, but you know something? He brings in millions of dollars. That's all that counts in this business. This business that we have chosen. You can talk, you can squawk, you can get ratings, but if you don't bring in the moolah shmoolah, the scatto, like you do, Sid, you're dead. Dead. That's why Len Berman and Michael Riedel are dead today.
That's why?
They could not bring in the revenue, and they didn't have the ratings to boot.
Right. Well, don't you need ratings to get revenue? I mean, unless you're me or Imus, you don't, they're just people who have a name in the business and you will make some money.
Let me warn everybody here at WABC. The business runs from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. After that, you make no money. I don't care who's on the air. You make no money. So if any of our fellow friends are complaining I'm working too hard, you got hundreds of people who've been fired at iHeart across the nation. iHeart that has 868 radio stations, 249 AMs, 619 FMs, run by the CEO, Robert Pittman, was very dear friends with our mutual friend, Mark Simone.
That is true, correct. And Simone, of course, comes on right after Len and Michael on WOR. He does a good job.
He's the only local show left there from 6 to 6.
That's right. Yes.
Let me tell you why this is bigger than you and me, Sid.
All right, but quickly before we have about 2 minutes to go, just so you folks are interested, Larry Menti and some girl named Natalie and your old friend Jacqueline Carl are what's up against me this morning.
Placeholders. They're placeholders. They're going to put in a syndicated show and they're going to lose and they're bleeding and they're going to go out of business soon. So you're not aware of this. Robert Pittman cannot save iHeart. They're sinking. The enemy of America is George Soros, who is buying up radio stations, Audacity. And I sat next to John Catsimatidis at the Marconi Awards. You were in Israel. The Marconi Awards. And they dissed us. They went all Audacity because they are audacious.
Yeah. But doesn't this election mean that nobody cares what Soros and the Democrats think?
No, because now, He's spending his money. So I believe And you gotta work with me on this, Sid. We gotta save WOR to stem the flow of bleeding. You've slain them. You got 2 notches on your belt.
Okay.
So you know me. I'm a morning guy. I've said that 3 times.
Yes, you're a morning guy, sure.
I go over there.
Where you go over there, right?
I stem the flow. I won't beat you.
Right.
But I stem the flow.
Well, you'll make it closer. This is a joke right now.
Wait, it requires the permission of John Catsimatidis, because remember when I came back...
So you're not asking Catsimatidis to buy the station. You want to go to work for basically the enemy in an effort to save America?
Yes, because I am going to convince John Catsimatidis, who was insulted at that Marconi Awards when they dissed us.
As he should have been, yes.
Just like Donald Trump was sitting there, remember, in Washington at the Correspondents' Conference when President Barack Obama made fun of him, remember? And from that moment on, Trump said, I'm running for president. Remember?
I do, yes.
John, it's time to buy iHeart, the largest conglomerate, 868 radio stations. Give me permission to stem the flow of bleeding there in the morning. I can't beat Sid. It's impossible, but you know I can hold a rating and I can generate revenue. They'll let me do live reads again there, which you know I'm the master of the live read. 3 minutes, you get more than your money worth. Sid, you got to convince John to do this. He'll buy up all of the iHeart stations, and although you'll be number 1 in the morning, I could be number 2 at the sister station. And John Catsimatidis can control radio in America to stop George Soros.
This is going to sound absolutely insane, but I honestly think that this beautiful piece that Curtis just played out for the last 12 minutes is genius. It's a genius plan. John is coming on at 8:15. If he doesn't do this, he's nuts. You're a genius.
It's no diss to you, Sid. I gotta rein in your humongous ego. You need a crane to get you in and out of the studio. You took out 880 AM. You took out Lem Berman and Michael Riedel. You can't do anything more. I will go to WOR. I will make this sacrifice. I will compete against you. I will lose, but I'll do a relatively good job, and that'll set it up so that John Catsimatidis can bail out iHeart. All 868 radio stations to be used against George Soros and Audacity, which at those Marconi Awards were dancing on our WABC grave. We will seek revenge against you for laughing like Cheshire cats at us. You don't do that to John and Margot Catsimatidis and Chad Lopez, and you don't do that to the greatest iconic station ever in radio, WABC.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning. 77 WABC.
American girls and American guys, we'll always stand up and salute. We'll always recognize when we see old glory flying. There's a lot of men dead, so we can sleep in peace at night when we lay down our head. My daddy served in the army.
Tulsi Gabbard served all right. In fact, she's been deployed 3 different times in the Middle East and Africa. She's now part of that great Trump transition team. I love her. The hero that is Tulsi Gabbard, coming up next on this Veterans Day, right here on Sid and Friends in the Morning.
My love is falling under attack. A mighty sucker punch came flying in from somewhere in the back. Soon as we could see clearly through our big black eye, man, we lit up your world like the 4th of July. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist, and the eagle will fly and it's gonna be hell when you hear Mother Freedom start ringing her bell, and it'll feel like the whole wide world is raining down on you. Brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
77 WABC.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
No, I get by with a little help from my friends. Well, I was born in a small town, and I live in a small town. Probably died in a small town, small communities. All my friends live in a small town. My parents live in the same small town. My job is a small town, but that's a little opportunity.
John Cougar Mellencamp on this Veterans Day. Good Monday morning, everybody. 7:55 here in New York City. Waiting on Tulsi Gabbard. I think she's going to join us next hour now. Busy, you know, she's the co-chair for Donald Trump's transition team. She is also a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve and has been deployed three times between the Middle East and Africa. So hopefully Gabbard next hour, along with Lara Trump. That could be a huge hour. I do want to send a couple of shout-outs today, though, to some people that are listening. They listen every morning that serve this country proudly. One will be live on the parade route as part of the big WABC Veterans Day, and that is Greg Kelly. Kelly on from 1 to 3 every weekday afternoon. And Greg was the real deal, folks. He was the real deal. It wasn't like Don Imus. You know, Imus used to brag all the time. He was kidding, of course. He had a great sense of humor, but he used to brag about his time in the service, and all he did was blow the bugle, and most of the men. What?
Oh, that part? Yeah. Sometimes it was one part before the other part.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But Greg Kelly, you know, he's the real deal. That man was out there fighting and stuff, you know. So congratulations. I shouldn't say congratulations, but thank you, Greg. Also, Lee Zeldin, who was on this show last week. Lee Zeldin served this country proudly, and I would expect, like Elise Stefanik and Susie Wiles and Tom Homan and a host of others, that Lee will get a job in the new Trump administration. Lee served this country proudly. And how about the great attorney for Daniel Penny? That trial's still going on, that ridiculous trial where Daniel Penny, talking about heroes on Veterans Day, he's a hero, saved a bunch of people on a subway from a drugged-out, deranged maniac who unfortunately died that day, Jordan Neely, but he was out of control. Thomas Kniff also served this country very proudly. And my friend Colonel Jack Jacobs, he couldn't be here this morning, but if you've listened to me over the years, and Imus, way back when, you know Jack Jacobs. I know you love what Jack Jacobs, Lewis.
One of the nicest and great men
Yes.
I've ever met.
He's been awarded just about everything, and deservedly so. Medal of Honor and Purple Heart and all that
Smart
stuff.
and
all of it, yeah.
Great person.
I think Ray Martell was in the, well, no, he was not. I apologize.
He wasn't?
I don't think so. Oh. Sugar Ray? Did you want to mention somebody, Noam, that...
that's in the military, Bing?
But anybody you know that served...
Oh, I know a lot of people. I have this one friend, Jay Shaddix, who was in Operation Desert Storm. He's from Charleston, South Carolina, and he actually spends this day trying to cash in on all the free offers that are made to veterans. The free breakfast, donuts, the whole thing.
Yeah, pay him over that.
I would shout out MJ's father, not with us anymore, who was in Pearl Harbor.
Wow.
In World War II.
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow. That's a big deal.
Yeah, huge. And
MJ's dad. What was his name?
He passed a few years ago. Jack Ledwith.
Jack Ledwith, all right.
Great man.
Yeah. My Uncle Duddy fell out the airplane, lost his hearing. It was a horrible thing.
Really?
But he was married to the most annoying person in the world, my Aunt Pearl, And he was actually very happy he couldn't hear a thing.
No.
He fell out the airplane.
Oh, also, I had an uncle who died in the Holocaust, actually.
Died?
Yeah.
Jeez.
He fell off a guard tower.
See what he did there? I see what
Now, speaking of the old Imus
Yeah,
days,
that's it. There you go. And talking about Len Berman getting fired a couple of days ago, and I know Len hated Imus because when Len had that really successful midday run with Mike Lupica at the Fan, another disaster, the I-Man would refer to Len Berman as Lenny the Jew.
Yeah, it was really ridiculous.
Oh, he hated that Berman.
Yeah, that's...
Well, he was right about that, Len.
Oh, yes, Len was very right.
Len's a very nice guy. I mean, I saw Len...
Super nice.
Yeah.
Super. I just saw him... Oh, remember when a couple of months ago I went to that party where they celebrated like 125 years of Nassau County? Bruce Blakeman put on this big party, and then the other night sat with Bill O'Reilly, his son Spencer, Kilmeade and his wife, and it was a big party for Nassau County. What's her name performed that night? Taylor Dane. And Len was there, and Len was very nice.
Yes, he's a very
He
nice
had no
person.
idea what I was doing. He goes, "Oh, you're on? You're on?" And I wanted to say,
I guess
Lenny,
he found out now.
Yeah,
right.
maybe that's part of the reason why you're not working today. You may want to know why the competition is kicking your ass. Talking about kicking your ass, is Mike Tyson going to fight Jake Paul this weekend?
On Friday.
It's going down, huh?
Netflix, yep, Jake Paul.
They just had Dr. Mark Siegel on Fox News talking about the worries that Mike Tyson may, in fact, get brain damage. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and my question is, how would you know?
He didn't fall out of a guard tower, at least.
No, he did not do that, no.
Hey,
I mean,
that's a little high up there. I'm going to kick his ass when I'm up there.
I cannot forget from where it is that I come from. I cannot forget the people who love me. Yeah, I can be myself here in this small town, and people let me be just what I want to be.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
For my friends.
77 WABC.
All I know is the way I feel. When it's real, I keep it alive. The road is long. There are mountains in our way, but we climb a stair every day. The lift is up where we belong, where the eagles cry on the mountain high. The lift is up where we belong, far from the world below, where the
the late, great Joe Cocker and Jennifer Warren here. And, of course, this song from On This Veterans Day, a great movie. You can see Richard Gere walking out holding Deborah Winger in his arms, an officer and a gentleman. And I love this song, Louis. I love this song. You know, it's interesting. Looking for love. All I know. Oh, she's so good, Jennifer Warren, isn't she? So Curtis was just talking about how schools should not be closed today, and they should be teaching our children about the importance of Veterans Day. And once again, Curtis is right. Curtis is almost always right. But he lives in a dream world. Trust me, I've got a son in the New York City school system. And I'm not that far removed from both Ava and Gabriel going to school here, and they don't teach any of that. Any of it. So, yes, ideally, Curtis, schools should be open. Our kids should be taught about all these things. Our kids should be taught about the Holocaust. They never are. Our kids should be taught about 9/11. They never are. They are taught Civil War, civil rights, reparations. That's it. I swear to God. So, while you're right, it's just not true. They don't do that. So, Danielle and I said to Gabe yesterday, we said, I'll tell you what, you can take the day off because Gabe is a patriot. He's a young kid. He's going to be 16 years old, my son, this month. I can't believe he's going to be 16. I can't believe it. November 24th, he'll be 16, but he's a patriot. He cares. He really does. He loves this country. I'm not going to talk about who he supports for the presidency, but he knows what's going on. So does Ava, too. But they are completely different teams when it comes to this. But now when it comes to the country and Israel and the world. So tell you what, write us a paragraph on why Veterans Day is important, going back to what Curtis just said, and we'll read it. And if we deem it good, we will consider allowing you to stay home from school. Because truth is, these kids get off for every stupid holiday. Every religion gets a day off. Some religions get 3 days off. Every color, every race, every creed. And you can't give these kids off one day to honor the veterans? You can't do that? I tell you what, your school's in the city. Take them to the damn parade. Take them to the parade. They don't teach them dick. So he said, Gabriel, write us a paragraph on what Veterans Day means to. So long story short, my kid wrote this unbelievable paragraph. I mean it. About the ultimate sacrifice, the bravery, the courage, liberty, freedom, all those abstracts that mean so much to every American. And it was so good. And we said, you know what? Fine. Watch the parade on TV, do what you go. Watch Apocalypse Now or Full Metal Jacket or Hamburger Hill. But to go to school on this day and not to learn about anything pertinent to Veterans Day is a crime. And they do it in New York City every year. They do it. Private schools, public schools, they should be embarrassed, but they're not. And maybe somewhere down the road, a Trump win, more Republicans in power here in New York. Maybe all that's going to change. But right now, it is grotesque, the school system, what they stand for, what they care about. My son's school, they still call Columbus Day Indigenous Peoples Day. So, Curtis, while I agree with you on paper, the truth is they don't do it, and I'm okay if you kept your kid home from school today because if that's the way to honor the veterans, then that's what we got to do. We'll take a short break. We'll come back. Still coming up this hour, John Catsimatidis, and very excited to talk to the president's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump. Her first appearance since her father-in-law won. Her husband, Eric, was on Friday. Catsimatidis and Trump coming up next.
Every day. Love lifts us up where we belong, where the eagles cry on a mountain high. Love lifts us up where we belong, far from the world we know, where the clear winds blow. Time goes by. No time to cry. Life's you and I alive. Baby.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning. 77 WABC.
Natalie Merchant, 10,000 Maniacs. And I told this story about how we offered Gabriel the opportunity, our beautiful son, to write something meaningful to keep him home for Veterans Day, and he did it. He did it past with flying colors. But the truth is, I said that was really my wife's idea. I got to give Danielle the credit. She's a great mom, and she loves this country, too. She's terrific. It was really her idea. Of course, I was all for it. I thought it was brilliant. I actually said he should do a TikTok video. She said, no, have him write something. So it was really Danielle's idea. She gets the credit. Also, Rick Scott, my old buddy there. When I lived in Florida, he was the governor. Since I left Florida, Ron DeSantis is now the governor, but Rick Scott just won again. He is in the Senate, and 2 people now are endorsing Rick Scott to be the new Senate Majority Leader, and those 2 people are me and Elon Musk. So we get to demote that idiot, that moron, that jackass Chuck Schumer, and promote somebody, and I think Rick Scott down in Florida is the perfect choice. My man, John Catsimatidis, not just my boss, my owner, but my dear, 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 dear friend. He puts on 2 great shows on this station, 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon. It's the Cats and Cosby Show. And, of course, his terrific show, 8 a.m. every Sunday morning. Cats Round Table, the great John Catsimatidis. John, another big day here in New York, another big opportunity for WABC to mingle with New Yorkers and heroes. Happy Veterans Day.
Well, it's going to be a beautiful Veterans Day. It's going to be in the 70s. I hope it doesn't rain, but I'm praying, and, we pray to God, and God usually helps us. I mean, he helped us. He helped us. I mean, he saved America, God. I mean, it is still unbelievable what happened with the election last week. We swept everything. The key item that the American people should look at the map, how much red there is, and common sense prevails. I'm not against Democrats. I am pro common sense Democrats. But me and you were pro common sense Democrats at one time, and it just
no. Listen, I still am, but they don't exist. I'm all for it. I mean,
they exist.
Who are they besides Holden and Queens and David Patterson, who's retired? Who else do we got?
David Patterson's going to make a comeback. He's going to run against Curtis in the mayoral race.
I like that.
It's going to be Patterson against Curtis.
I like that. Is that? I mean, you are pretty sure at this point. That means that Patterson, John, would have to probably beat Andrew Cuomo.
I don't know. Maybe Andrew Cuomo wants to be
governor
because who knows? I mean, let things. How do people say in London? Let things sort themselves out.
Right. So if you're talking about Patterson versus Curtis on Cuomo possibly running for governor, because to be honest, John, you're my man, there's been a lot of talk about you running for mayor. So is that still a possibility, or is it lessening by the day?
You never say never. We'll see what happens. But the statistic I wanted to come up, there's 3,144 counties in the United States of America. You're sitting down?
I am sitting down.
Kamala won less than 550 of the 3,144. What does that tell you? And then I got one more statistic. The only states that Kamala won.
I'm going to finish this sentence for you. The only states that Kamala won, see if I get this right, John, are the states that did not require voter ID.
You got it. Bingo. Bingo. So what does that tell you? We got to straighten out our voting system. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything wrong, but we got to straighten out our voting system so the American people feel that it's one American vote for each American. Because and the other thing I've been saying at 5 o'clock is that you got to has to be jail time for voter fraud.
I agree.
Because if you just charge a fine, you know what that means? Somebody's going to come along, some guy from foreign country or wherever the money comes from. Somebody's going to come along and just pay the fine.
They'll do it right here.
Mandatory jail time for voter fraud.
I agree with you. And by the way, George and Alex Soros would be happy to pay those fines off. So you know what else, John? And you brought this up last week, too. I'm going to give you the credit. You said to me on Wednesday morning, you said, you you go back to 2020, and again, we're not going back to rigged elections. We're not doing that here, okay? But, how did 20 million votes just vanish? How did all those votes that Biden got?
I will tell you the other number that we're going to open up an investigation on. 81 million votes that Joe Biden got. And no president before that in the Democratic Party ever got more than 70.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't.
And Kamala got like 60. So where did those 21 million? They didn't go all to Trump. Where did they go?
It doesn't pass the smell test.
Right.
Somewhere something is wrong. And I think where the problem lies is all those mail ballots that went out. And, the people in Nevada are laughing. He says to me, I got 5 mail ballots in my home from the five previous owners of the house.
Jeez, that's terrible. And some of those people are dead. No, it doesn't. I want to ask you about the Trump win, though, John, because you're the perfect guy to talk to. Listen, you're a very, very successful businessman, and you're involved in a whole bunch of different businesses, right? You're not just a supermarket guy or an oil guy. You're involved in all kinds of different businesses.
We've done it all.
You've done it all. So here's my question. Trump winning, are you really, really confident as a very successful billionaire businessman involved in a ton of businesses that the economy will absolutely turn around?
110%. Trump will bring down the cost of oil. If he brings down the cost of oil, the cost of food is going to come down, and then he's going to open up the Suez Canal. He's going to open up the Red Sea. He is terrorizing the terrorists. Already there are people out there in the OPEC nations that are apologizing for some of the things that are happening.
They really are already apologizing, right? Yep, right?
Yep, absolutely. And the thing about Elon Musk, you ready for this? Elon Musk is the greatest businessman ever. He's going to go down with John D. Rockefeller. He's a bit of a gambler, but what the heck? Elon Musk invested $150 million, something like that, $160 million on Trump's campaign. Elon Musk's net worth went up by $40 billion.
I think he made $26 billion in the market the day after Trump won, when the market went up about 1,000 points.
I mean, isn't that a good bet?
Yeah. Yes, I would say so. Yeah. No, listen, the guy's a genius. I mean, he, right now you'd have to say he's the best. You're right there too. Don't get me wrong, John. I love you, but he's right there as the best business mind in the world today. Yes.
Yeah, he is one of the best business minds in the world. He's a great promoter. He's a great, he creates sex appeal in his companies.
He does. That's a very good way to put it. He does create sex appeal, and he's involved in some pretty sexy businesses. I think you'd agree, John, that sending a rocket to the moon, that's kind of sexy.
Well, he was sending a car to Mars.
Right, he's doing that too. That's right. So, earlier in the conversation, you and I talked about the possibility, maybe probability of Patterson versus Curtis. Then we talked about maybe Cuomo runs for governor. And then I brought up you running for mayor, and you said, well, you never say never. I do want to go back to a story we covered with you just last week, and that is, and I think it's actually really cool, that in Greece, your homeland of Greece, they want you to be president. They want you to save Greece like Trump is going to save America. Is that off the table?
Yeah, no. I mean, it is off the table as far as I'm concerned. I think I loved it. My grandfathers, my great-grandfathers looked upon me, and you feel good about that. You get the offer.
Of course.
But I'm an American. I'm a New Yorker. I'm an American. I love New York. I love America. And I will do anything to help my grandfathers and great-grandfathers' land. But to go there and to run for politics, I'm not in politics in Greece.
He's mentioned how much you love New York, John, and that's true. You've got enough money to live wherever you want, and you don't leave. You stay here, and these are very difficult times. Some of your businesses, Quistidis, the Agostinos, you guys are being put through hell. and the crime and all that, but you stay here. You still love New York. So when you see that Donald Trump goes up to 44%, John, in New York, goes up in all 5 boroughs, the numbers dramatically better than they were 4 years ago. That's got to make you, as a New Yorker, feel really good.
I believe New York is going to make a comeback, and we got to have New York make a comeback. I talked to all my Democratic friends, and I said to them, look, all we want is our streets to be safe. Why are the politicians in Albany supporting the 3,300 criminals in New York City instead of supporting the 8.5 million people that want the quality of life?
That's right.
All we want to be able is to cross the street without being run over by a bicycle. I mean, these people are crazy the way they're running their bike. I'm not anti-bike, but to go the wrong way, to go 40 miles an hour when the cars are going 10 miles an hour. I mean, enough is enough. And the criminals, well, Trump is going to help. He's going to help. Trump is going to help New York City because all these criminals that Albany is not allowing to be arrested and put in jail, Trump will deport those criminals first. And, you know, I'm the one that had that discussion with him a couple of months ago, I think. And get rid of those criminals. Don't allow those criminals to prey on the quality of life of all New Yorkers.
Agreed. On the way out, John, you know, we've seen a big change in the radio landscape here. WCBS 880, they're gone now. They're gone. Just on Friday, WOR fired their morning show, Len and Michael, and they're also making changes all across the country, Clear Channel. I know Soros bought a whole bunch of stuff, but clearly...
Well, Clear Channel is low on money. They're not going to pay anybody any money. They're just going to go on a budget and try to survive without filing bankruptcy like Odyssey did. Because once they file bankruptcy, then they really lose.
But you're not in this game to lose money. There are people that say, well, you know, John could afford to employ people because, you know, he could afford to lose a couple of dollars. And I say, wait a second. He's not in this game to lose money. Yeah, we want to win, and we are winning. Man, are we winning since you and Margot took over. But you're not in this game to lose, are you?
We're not in this game to lose. We're here to make a difference in the world, in the country. And we're here to, you know, our 5 o'clock show, Sid, is, I'm not going to mention the competition's name because I like the guy. Our ratings are 5 times his ratings.
Oh, you're killing him. Yeah, and I love that guy too.
Times.
I love him too, but you're killing him.
Yeah, I mean, it's WABC, and we have another station coming. Now that the common sense people are going to control the FCC, because we were holding up on that other station, and we have another 50,000 watt station coming in New York.
Wow.
Which will be like the minor league team of WABC.
Oh, I like that. So you'll have like the big club here, and then you'll have the up and, you know what kind of reminds me of when FAN bought CBS, kind of like their minor league. So we would have the same thing. So we'll have 2 major market 50,000 watt stations in New York, and you'll have the big guys here, and then the up and comers at the other station. That's right. We'll be building up a team on the other station. I love that. And wow, that's exciting. I didn't even know this. And what is that other station? What is the time for that?
I would say it should happen by January the latest.
Wow. John, that's a big deal. I had no idea.
You know, I mean, look, we want to make a difference in the world, and we between everybody working hard, you, me, everybody at WABC, everybody at Fox, everybody at the New York Post, we help make a difference in the world, and we're going to bring back New York. That's the next thing we got to do, Sid. Bring back New York and have common sense in New York. That's all I want, common sense.
I agree with you. So, you know, you and I will get, I'm sure, heavily involved in the mayoral election. Governor coming up in 26. You can count on John Catsimatidis and Sid Rosenberg to be right in the middle of all of it. And you're a hero. I mean, this is not a small thing. I know that word probably makes you uncomfortable, but this is not a small thing when you consider, you know, if they would have won, for example, if Harris would have won, we don't know how they would have limited shows like mine, shows like yours, Soros buying up stations all over the country.
You know what I said to Curtis? One day you were off, and me and Curtis were taking over. You know, we were doing your show, and you know what I said to him? I said, Curtis, we better win, Otherwise, they might come take us away.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And you're a strong guy.
I'm joking about it, but you don't know how true it might be.
It may have been true. No, it was a huge win on Tuesday.
Democracy. There was no democracy under President Biden.
None.
I mean, they had the squad out of Washington doing whatever they want to bring down people. It doesn't matter if it was Eric Adams or Roger Stone. They had a squad to bring down people they didn't like.
Can't argue any of that. John, listen, you're the best. I love you. You really are a hero. This station's doing great. I'm very excited about our second station, as John Catsimatidis. Big news, just told you, coming soon. And I look forward to seeing you on the parade route on Veterans Day. Love you, John. Great appearance. Thank you so much.
God bless America. We'll be marching with our veterans because they also help keep America free. And Washington tried to destroy our veterans. They tried to destroy our armed forces. I mean, it is very sad, but we're back on top again.
Morning in America again. That's my dear friend John Catsimatidis. 5 p.m. every weekday. Great show, Katz and Cosby. 8 a.m. every Sunday morning. Great show, the Katz Round Table. We'll take a short break. When we get back talking about President Trump, his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, is coming up next. Lara Trump on Sid Friends in the morning.
I'm bound to thank you for it.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning. Entertaining and informative.
Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
Congratulations. I know how hard all of you. Let me get to your wife, though, for a second, because no disrespect to Ronna McDaniel, Eric, but, as soon as Michael and your wife took over the RNC, the difference was palpable. And I got to tell you, a couple of hiccups in Wisconsin and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But for the most part, this was completely different than 2020. And I know you're going to give Lara a ton of credit. I am too. What a job by her and the RNC.
Listen, there's no question. They went in there, they fired all the fat out of the RNC, right? There's and a lot of it. They streamlined operations in a major way. They raised a ton of money, more so than I think the RNC has ever raised before. And they focused on two things, really: getting out the early vote, the low propensity voters out early, and obviously, making sure that you have free and safe and transparent elections. No funny business. And things were popping up all over the place. I mean, they were playing whack-a-mole, for all throughout early voting, and then obviously on election day, you saw what was happening in Bucks County. You saw some of the things that were happening in other places. One of the AGs in Pennsylvania actually busted a massive, what appears to be voter fraud ring. You saw the big press conference for the AG, and they were all over that. And, they were trying to put in 2,500 ballots just in one polling location, all with the same pen, same signature, incorrect information, everything else. And law enforcement took care of that. I think those people are being prosecuted right now, but they were certainly playing whack-a-mole, but she did a hell of a job. I mean, they had well over 100,000 poll watchers. They had, 3,500 lawyers, and they just did fantastic. So they got out that vote. They ensured election integrity, and I'm very proud of the job that she did.
Return to sender. Return to sender. I gave a letter to the postman. He put it in his sack. Bright and early next morning, he brought my letter back. She wrote upon it. Return.
Elvis Presley here, returned to sender. My dear friend Siggy Flicker. She was featured in the Daily Mail yesterday as one of the women, the glamorous women in and around President Trump. Siggy and I are very, very close, and she's with Trump all the time. And in the column, she talked about Trump's love for music, and she said he loves November Rain by Guns N' Roses, and he loves Sinead O'Connor. Nothing compares to you, and he loves Elvis Presley. And the audio you heard there was, of course, Eric Trump on this show on Friday, and his wife, who's a rock star. She had as much to do with Trump's win as he did. Lara Trump, been on this show basically every 2 weeks for the last 2 years, is here to celebrate this morning. Congratulations, Lara. What a job you did. And again, reiterating what I said to your husband, Eric, on Friday, the difference between you and Whatley and the job you did last week was, I think, one of the major reasons why your father-in-law won by such a wide margin. Congratulations.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much. And it feels good to be on the other side of it, Sid, I'll tell you. It's been a hustle. There's no doubt about it. And we were really proud of our team. Look, it was integral, I think, to getting people out to vote, to make sure that people felt like when you come out to vote this election, your vote is going to matter and your vote's going to count. And you heard from Eric there. That was very nice of him to kind of reiterate all the things that we did. But when we got in there, we said, listen, the RNC is probably doing too many things, trying to be too many things to too many people. And when you do that, you're sort of nothing to anybody, right? And so we said, we got to pare it back. We've got to actually focus on what is going to get us a win. And we said it's engaging with low propensity voters, people who don't vote every election cycle, but when they come out, we know that they vote Republican, making sure we start talking to people about early voting, and then protecting the ballot, because we wanted every person to feel like it mattered in this election to come out and vote. And at the top, of course, is Donald Trump. He gets the vote out like no other. He is the most historic, legendary figure, I think, in politics we're ever going to see. And it was really an honor. We had an incredible team, and I couldn't feel better right now. I feel like the entire country has just let out a breath that we've been holding in for 4 years, Sid.
I think you're right. In fact, you actually said a very cute picture of, I think, Luke or somebody. I didn't get a chance to completely look at it. I was running out of the house. But you said,
Carolina.
Oh, it was your daughter, right? You go, we can finally exhale. You said that yesterday.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. And Lara, come on, let's talk about New York for a second. Okay, now look. Your father-in-law came here. He was here for those ridiculous court days, that ridiculous nonsense he had to go through. But he met with the union workers. He met with the fire station around the corner. He had that big rally in the Bronx. Then, of course, he had the Nassau Coliseum rally. Then he had our rally at Madison Square Garden. So while I'm here to tell you that I did a lot to help your father-in-law do well in New York, on a serious note, he made every second count that he was here, and that's why he did extraordinarily well here in New York.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see. You know, you look at New York, you look at New Jersey, you look at Virginia, look at even California, Sid. Donald Trump ate so deeply into the stronghold that the Democrats have in so many of these states. If I were them, I would be very, very nervous, because I think it's amazing because, you know, I said this actually 3 years ago to my father-in-law. I said, it's going to be so much better for you to be back in office in 2025 than it ever would have been in 2021. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, he's going to have a House and Senate now that is going to vote alongside of him, and they're going to actually be able to enact lasting change in this country. But I actually think that the past 4 years that we've gone through have really exposed the Democrats and really exposed people like folks in the mainstream media. A lot of Americans now, Sid, are awake. And once you're awake and once you see what these people have been doing and the way they've been lying to you, I don't think you're going back to sleep. And so I think they understand now. They've been lied to about Donald Trump. They've been lied to about Republicans. They really understand that he is doing this job because he loves America. And although he didn't need to do this job, he's taking literally bullets every day for this country, and he'll fight for every single American. He doesn't care what you look like. He doesn't care who you love. He doesn't care what religion you practice. He wants every American to have their shot at the American dream. And I think it's amazing. And I think that's why you saw some of these vote totals in states like New York shift towards Republicans in a huge way. I would like to personally keep that trajectory going. So let's see what happens.
I think we will. And I wasn't going to bring this up, but you mentioned it. You said literally bullets flying. And we heard a report just last week that they arrested two people sent here by Iran to hurt your father-in-law. You know, I've had these discussions before because, you know, people forget, you know, a lot of people look at your father-in-law like he's like not like a real human. You know, he's just this guy and he's going to be president again and he's MAGA. He's a real person. He's got children. He's got grandchildren. He's got a wife. He's a nice guy. And they're out there trying to kill him. And, you know, 2 more arrests last week, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. How much of a concern is that for the family and, quite frankly, for your father-in-law?
Well, listen, I think it's always concerning whenever you hear about these foiled plots, but at least it was foiled, you know. I don't think there's any doubt that there's going to be a huge target on Donald Trump, and there's going to be a target on his back and his head via our enemies out there, right? You know, you've got a lot of people who understand now that, you know, it's basically like, I think my brother-in-law posted a photo and said, Daddy's home, right? It's like Dad came home after you messed up all day long. Mom was telling you better get it together, because when Dad shows up back home, not going to be a good thing for you. Dad's home. He showed up. His name's Donald Trump. And our enemies out there understand they've got to get it together. They can't keep acting up like they've been over the past 4 years. So I imagine this is not going to be the last of this sort of thing that we hear. But listen, he's got a great team around him. I think the United States Secret Service has really stepped up to the occasion. They really, at this point, after that Butler rally, understand, I think, what they're dealing with. And I've been very impressed by the team around him. So we're always going to worry about him, Sid. But listen, he's doing a job that I think he knows is bigger than himself. It's bigger than any of us. This is about the future of this country. And aren't we so blessed now to know that he's going to be back in that White House?
Thank God. I've used those two words 100 times. I didn't sleep for 2 days because I stayed up, and then I watched all you guys hit the stage about 2:30 in the morning, jumped in the shower, and came to my studios in New York about an hour later. But it was worth it. You know, I asked your husband this. I'm going to ask you the same. There had to be a private moment, Lara, like, you know, right when he found out he won and it was really over. And even before he hit the stage with all those adoring fans in Palm Beach and Mar-a-Lago and, quite frankly, all over the country and all over the world, was there a private moment you got a chance to talk to him, way to go, Dad, or a hug or something right before he hit the stage?
Yeah, well, we were all backstage as a family, and you know, my personal favorite moment with him, I've probably talked about it with you before in the audience before, but I grew up in North Carolina, and in 2016, my father-in-law tasked me with helping him win my home state of North Carolina, which Hillary Clinton said was her firewall. Everybody said with the purple state was going to be very hard for a Republican to win. That's how I got involved in this campaign. It was at a rally in my hometown of Wilmington, North Carolina, in 2016. And so 2016, I delivered North Carolina for him. We did it again in 2020. And then that was, if you remember, the first swing state that was called on Tuesday night. And so whenever they called North Carolina, I went up to him and I said, we did it the last time for you. I told you I'd bring up North Carolina.
Great.
So for me, that was a personal moment with him that I'll never forget. And, but yeah, we're all backstage. And I think it almost is like, it's surreal in so many ways, because the past 4 years, what he's been through directly with the lawfare, Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, who, by the way, those two, I think, are shaking in their boots right now. They know what they did is wrong. They know that people are going to look into them, and they know that something bad is coming their way, because you can't do that in the United States of America, the lawfare that they've waged
although, I don't know if you know this, because I told your husband this on Friday, you're right about that, but this Letitia James, who I can't stand, this attorney general, this racist attorney general, she doubled down last week. She held a press conference here in New York, Lara, her and this grotesque governor, Kathy Hochul, and they threatened your father-in-law. Don't you think you're going to come to New York and you're going to do this and do that, and we got rules in place? And they actually threatened him. You know, Trump said last week, listen, I'll work with Adams, which I think he's working a little too close. That's my opinion. That's fine. I'll work with Adams. I'll work with Hochul. And they're out there threatening him last week, both James and Hochul. You believe that?
Yeah, it's sad to see. But this man wants us to bring this country together. And by the way, Sid, I believe he will. I think for all that's been said about Donald Trump, I'm going to go ahead and go out there and say that whenever he ends his second term in office, he's going to leave with the highest approval rating of any modern president. I'm going to go ahead and guess that there are going to be so many people who misjudge Donald Trump, who, when he leaves office 4 years from now, are going to really understand who this man is and why he wanted to do this job. I'm so proud of him. I think it's really sick that there are people out there still doing that stuff. They're probably always going to do it. They're a little bit desperate right now. But, you know, I really believe that the second Donald Trump administration, I think, is really going to be incredible. I think you're going to see really wonderful things happen. And I do believe what he always says is that success will bring us together. And I believe that this country is headed for great success on every possible level. And I could not be prouder to have been part of his team. I couldn't be prouder to be part of his family. It's really been the honor of my life to be at the RNC during this time and work alongside such great people. So kudos to all the team out there. And thank you, America. Thank you, New York. Thank you to everybody who came out and voted for Donald Trump. It's just really amazing.
He's lucky to have you, too, just so you know. You are lucky to have him and the whole thing, but he's lucky to have you, too. And, you know, just last week, Mark Cuban, this moron, came out and talked about how Donald Trump doesn't have any strong women around him, dumb women, not strong women. I don't know. Last I checked, his daughter-in-law ran the RNC, made sure he won. Elise Stefanik, who was on this show on Friday, she's going to be the UN ambassador. She's not strong. She's awesome. Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. So he's only made 3 or 4 announcements so far. I know Homan was announced as well, but there's a lot of really strong, really smart women. No, Lara?
Yeah. Mark Cuban, bless his heart, is what we say in North Carolina about him. He just did it. He didn't know. He wasn't ready for the response from that one, Sid, obviously. And by the way, if I can just say, Susie Wiles is chief of staff. That is the first woman to ever hold the title of chief of staff and of course it's Donald Trump. Leave it to him to do it. Sorry, Democrats, we broke the glass ceiling for you. Sorry to see that happen for those guys. But it's, of course, he has incredible, strong women around him, not the least of which, by the way, is his wife, Melania, who speaks 5 languages, who has the New York Times best-selling book right now, and her book, who is an incredible individual on her own accord, let alone with all the political stuff. But these people, again, whenever you have nothing else to say, you say really dumb things like Mark Cuban did. And I think if they go back and look at the response from women, I'm going to go ahead and say thanks, Mark Cuban, because you probably got a lot more women to come out and vote for Donald Trump with that comment.
I agree with you. Hey, let me talk to you about Biden for a second. Your father-in-law is going to go Wednesday to the White House. He's going to have lunch with President Biden. Biden also said a couple of days ago, guess what? I'm also going to the inauguration, which is kind of a big deal. What do you think that's about? Is that Biden is just kind of sticking it in the face of the people that stabbed him in the back? Or do you think Biden really has respect for the office and your father-in-law and wants to do this? Which one?
Well, maybe it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I actually think that Joe Biden may have been one of the happier people on Tuesday night, to be honest with you, Sid. Listen, the guy, he has worked his entire life to become president. Now, I don't think he ever should have been in that office. I think we all called out his cognitive decline 4 years ago during that campaign. And, of course, the media did their smoke and mirrors, and somehow he miraculously got 17 million more votes than any candidate in history, but I digress.
Right.
Nonetheless, I believe that what they did to him was wrong. It was awful, and it really, went against the will of the American people. And not a single person in this country voted for Kamala Harris, but he got 14 million primary votes, we know. So if there's anyone who probably was happy to see that their little plan got messed up, it was probably Joe Biden. I'm just going to throw that one out there. But listen, I think he does obviously have respect for the office of president. And, I think it's nice to see that there hasn't been any upheaval on the other side of this win. Look, the win was so big for Donald Trump, 312 electoral votes, winning the popular vote, every single swing state. Sid, that is historic. Huge. That is just, there's nothing you can say. You can't argue against it. And so, yeah, he is the legitimate president of the United States elect, and he deserves to go to the White House. He deserves to be respected, and he deserves every single thing that is afforded to every other president-elect. And so I'm happy to see that Joe Biden is going to go along with all of it. 2
more we'll let you on. This is the great Lara Trump. So proud of her and just did an amazing job ensuring her father-in-law's victory. So what is your job like now? Leading up to the election, of course, you were out there making sure he was getting votes everywhere. You were making sure there was election integrity. You had a very, very important job. Now it's over. Now you guys won. What is the daily job like now for you and Watley?
Well, listen, I think the next big thing for the RNC will be the midterms.
Right.
This is how politics go. You get done with one, and then there's another one waiting in the wings. That's right. Sort of how it is.
Right.
But I think right now, obviously, you see that there's this massive, excuse me, I'm already losing my voice. Sid, we just got done with one election. I don't know what to say. There's this transition team in place. We want to ensure that there are great people alongside Donald Trump in that White House. Because, listen, I think if there's one lesson Donald Trump himself will tell you he learned the first time around, it's that the people you put in there really matter. And he really didn't know what to expect the first time he was back in the White House. Now that he's back, he's got everybody's number. He knows who he needs there by his side. I think the appointments he's made already are incredible. As you just noted with Susie Wiles, you have Tom Homan, who's going to be an actual border czar, actually going to make sure that this country has a secure southern border. That's going to be important. And so I think those of us in the family can kind of help him if he doesn't know how people are. We'll let you know how people are if we have a little sense of them.
Right.
But certainly the next big thing for the RNC will be those midterm elections, which will be important.
Last one, my friend and yours, Carrie Lake, she sent me a text about 2 o'clock in the morning because she's in Arizona. It's earlier there. I was asleep. And she said, I lost. She said, but thank you for your support, Sid. I love you, Sid. And she said, I got to tell you, the presidential election went the way it had to go. She's so happy your father-in-law won. She goes, but there are still parts of this country where elections are like third world countries. So I guess she feels like she got jobbed again out there in the state of Arizona. And I am reading stories this morning about votes that were changed. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Carrie Lake loss?
Yeah, well, listen, we certainly did everything we could possibly do from the RNC to ensure a free, fair, and transparent election. Leading into this interview with you, you heard Eric talk about all the things we did. We were literally putting out fires all across the country as they were happening. And I will say that our team did an amazing job. This did exactly as it was designed to do, identify problems and address them before they become bigger problems. I think that there's a bigger conversation to be had, though, about elections going forward and how elections should be conducted in the United States. The fact that you have to wait days on end to get a result, the fact that you have things that don't look exactly alike across the country. When it comes to federal elections, you have some states like California where if you even take an ID out in California, they're like, oh, please put that away. We don't want to know who you are. That's kind of crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. And it doesn't make people feel confident in our electoral process. And so I do think there's a space now that Donald Trump is going to be our 47th president. We're going to have the House. We're going to have the Senate. And saying, listen, maybe there is some big sweeping federal election law that we need to enact to ensure that there's voter ID, to ensure that only United States citizens are voting, to ensure that everybody feels like when they cast their vote, it's the vote that they put in the system, whether it's on a paper ballot, which we'd love to see. Thank you, Glenn Youngkin, for doing that in Virginia. Or, we just need to have confidence in it, and we need to set up a system that makes people feel good about it. And so I do think that's probably a conversation you're going to see Congress having coming up very soon because it's integral to our country to make sure that we have faith in our election.
That's right. And just to emphasize your point, the only 20 states that Harris won were states that did not make you show ID. Is that a coincidence?
Isn't that interesting?
I think not. Yeah, right. Listen, it was a great day for America, a great day for me, obviously. Spent the last couple of years with you guys every step of the way, but more than me and even you, even your father-in-law. It was a great day for America. And I spoke to a guy in Israel this morning. He's excited. The Israelis are excited. People all over the world are excited. He already spoke to Putin a couple of days ago, your father-in-law. He spoke to Zelensky. So the whole world is about to get fixed, and it's because of you and your family. We love you. Congratulations.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate all of it. And again, thank you, America. You did it.
You guys did do it. We all did it. Thank you. That's the great Lara Trump, and she had a huge role in her father-in-law's win. God love her. We'll take a short break. We'll come back with the fourth and final hour. Sid and Friends in the morning right after this.
Bright and early next morning, it came right back to me. She wrote upon it, return to sender, address unknown, no such person, no such zone. This time I'm gonna take it myself and put it right in her hand. And if it comes back the very next day, then I'll understand. Writing on it, return to sender, address unknown, no such number, no such zone. Return to sender.
94.7 WABC.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
No, I get by with a little help from my friends.
What's the pool on me up to right now? What's it up to? What is it, $300? Is that it? $300? I'm a school teacher. I teach English composition. This little town called Abley, Pennsylvania. In the last 11 years, I've been at Thomas Alva Edison High School. I was a coach of the baseball team in the springtime. Back home, and I tell people what I do for a living. They think, well, nah, that figures. But over here, it's a big mystery. So I guess I've changed some. Sometimes I wonder if I've changed so much, my wife is even going to recognize me whenever it is I get back to her. And how I'll ever be able to tell her about days like today. Ryan, I don't know anything about Ryan. I don't care. Man means nothing to me. It's just a name. But if going to Ramel and finding him so he can go home, if that earns me the right to get back to my wife, well, then that's my mission. You want to leave? You want to go off and fight the war? All right. I won't stop you. I'll even put in the paperwork. I just know that every man I kill, the farther away from home I feel.
Great scene. Tom Hanks, the amazing movie Saving Private Ryan, and of course, it goes by Hero by the Foo Fighters. You can't go wrong. I do love the live version they did at Wembley Stadium, but this one's great too. And they're all heroes. Do you realize, folks, that on this Veterans Day Monday here in New York City, as we get set, one of our great parades coming up. I believe the parade officially starts at 12:30. We'll be out there, WABC, a little earlier. You'll get Curtis Sliwa and John Catsimatidis from noon to 1, and then a man who did serve this country, a hero, Greg Kelly, from 1 to 3. But I believe in this country today there are just under 16 million military members alive. 16 million. And I guess there's a few left, not many, from World War II. I don't know the numbers of every war, Korea and Vietnam. Just 2 years ago, I had the honor. It was a rainy, miserable day. 2 years ago, Veterans Day, I had the honor of actually sitting on the float for the Vietnam military folks. That was pretty wild. And the year before that, I believe me and Bernard, God rest his soul, we did the show live from the, what is that ship there?
Intrepid.
The Intrepid, thank you. And the year before that, me, Bernie, and Jill did the show actually live from the Veteran Parade. Right there on 40, somewhere in the 40s off of Fifth Avenue. So we always do something special on this day, and I'll do something special today. I'll be out there. So if you're at the parade today, come on over and say hello. I know that Imus, the Intrepid thing was big with Imus. That was the days when our friend Bill White.
Would arrange it, yes.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Good shows, I think.
That's basically all he did, though, was that, right? He never did an Imus show live from the parade or anything like that, right?
No, I don't remember that. No, the Intrepid was the big scenario.
That was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So we'll take a short break, and we'll talk to our dear friend Alan Dershowitz. Now, look, everybody's asking me the same questions, okay? Did Michael Rappaport vote for Trump? Gun to my head, if I get it wrong, I die? My guess is yes. Michael Rappaport voted for Trump, but I don't know that. I know that Lizzie Savetsky voted for Trump. I know that Dov Hikind voted for Trump, and many others. Do I think Alan Dershowitz voted for Trump? I do. Now, he'll never admit it because, again, he loves his wife and his son. Maybe one day he will. I don't know. But do I think that Alan Dershowitz voted for Trump? 100%, because he was not going to vote for the Democrats. He said, I'm done with them weeks ago. And I don't think Alan Dershowitz wants our kids to die to vote for Jill Stein. You know what I'm saying? Well, I was watching the Arizona Cardinal New York Jet game yesterday. And don't forget that Pat Tillman played his pro football for the Arizona Cardinals, and I believe also went to Arizona State University. And he's the face. He's that guy that gave up the millions of dollars, literally millions of dollars. Beautiful wife, beautiful family, living the dream. And he was home, I guess, in Arizona when the towers fell back on 9/11, 23 years ago. And he felt like he had to do something. And he joined. And they put him in a cave in Afghanistan. And to make a bad ending even worse, it turns out we find out he was killed by friendly fire, but wouldn't have mattered. The fact that Pat Tillman decided on that day America came before, well, everything. His own family. Football, family, all of it went to show you the great patriot he is. And he's not the only guy, okay? So he was famous, football player, gave up millions of dollars, but there's lots of folks every day that make that same sacrifice for our country. Some come home. Some come home entirely different than when they left. That's why Frank Siller and Tunnel to Towers builds smart homes. And some don't come back. That's why today, no matter what you're doing that you deem so important, if you can't find a couple of minutes to sit there and just reflect, I mean, don't talk to anybody. Sit in your cubicle, sit at your desk, sit on the train, the car, the ferry, and reflect on what kind of person it takes to go to work, because that's a job, go to work every day in real enemy territories, not knowing if you'll ever come home. It's bad enough for a cop in New York City. Those guys are brave. A cop in New York City. Imagine you're a kid and they give you a gun and you're in a cave in Iraq or Afghanistan or in these days, the Middle East. They deserve, all of them, they deserve the homage. They deserve your attention today. So do it. Happy Veterans Day.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
Friends, how many of us have them? Friends,
77 WABC.
Well, we're living here in Allentown, and they're closing all the factories down. Out in Bethlehem, they're filling time.
One of my favorite Billy Joel songs right here, Allentown. Some of these radio stations that try to compete with me here in New York may end up in Allentown. They're going out of business like every week, you know. And one of the main reasons why that's the case, above and beyond what a great show we put on here, is the folks in charge here, John, Margot. But I always go back to Chad. Look, the fact is, before John and Margot were here, Chad always had the vision. I remember sitting in meetings with Chad at the old address, and the stuff that he said then, and they said he was nuts. He's crazy. Guess what? We implement it all the time now. He was right. I'm talking about 8-9 years ago. They go, what is this guy talking about? And we implement all of it now. So he was at the cutting edge, the very beginning of all this. And he knows what he's talking about. But today, more importantly, we celebrate Chad and Greg Kelly and many others because it is Veterans Day. And Chad spent 1992 through 1996 on various boats around the world as a proud member of the Navy. So on this big day, Chad Lopez, thank you for your service.
Good morning, Sid. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. But, you know, today, I think when I came into the studio, you said to me, how do you feel today, Chad? How do you feel?
Yeah.
Right? And I got to tell you, I'm damn proud to be an American.
You are, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's because Trump won.
Yeah, well, yes,
Yeah.
Trump won, and yes, and where we are, and it just feels good. It feels good to be an American. But you know what I feel really badly about is the veterans that are out there. You know, coming into Penn Station this morning and seeing some of the veterans that are, you know, that they're
You mean in the
on the
streets?
streets.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
some of them are on the streets. And, you know, the one thing I wanted to come on and say is that if you do see a veteran, thank them, number one.
Yeah.
But most importantly, if you could help them, help a veteran out, right? Because they served. And they gave almost one of the most important things is their life.
Yeah,
and
they did.
serve and to keep everybody, to keep America the way it is. So
that's part of the reason why, Chad, people are so angry about the way the illegal situation has gone here with Adams. And, you know, you've got homeless people, they're Americans, and you've got veterans. You've got veterans sleeping on park benches in Central Park, sleeping in their own feces, but you're giving illegals five-star hotel rooms and cash. How does that make any sense?
It's crazy. It's sad. It's really sad. It's sad to see, you know, and by the way, if some of these veterans, if they could, they'd help us clean up the streets.
100%.
You know,
100%.
They would help us clean up the streets.
So give me one story, because I got Dershowitz on hold.
Sure.
That 4-year span between 92 and 96. So and you always share, especially early on when I first got to know you, you would employ some of the things you said in the service in your sales meetings, and it was great. I thought it was great. Give me one moment that you'll just never forget. Maybe the first day. What was it?
It was the first day we landed. I was on board the USS Independence.
Wow.
Right? And I landed on the Independence in the Coral Sea.
Wow.
Right. So, I remember sitting.
Were you nervous?
I was so nervous, and I was on, with the plane's getting ready to land on the flight deck, and the pilot says, "Get ready, gentlemen," and so you got a jump seat. You've got your, you buckle in, and they said, just keep your head back, and as much as it wants to push forward, just keep your head back. And he said, so we're gonna land here shortly, and everyone's looking out the window, and we're saying, there's nothing but ocean out there. We're gonna land in the ocean. You couldn't even see the ship at that time, right? So I land, the ship starts getting bigger and bigger as it's going down. I said, this is crazy. Oh my God. And we grab the second wire, right?
Wow.
And so I remember, and this is what's so great about our pilots in the Navy. They said, there's 3 wires on board the USS Independence. If you grab the first wire, you're too close. You're too close to the end of the ship. If you grab the second wire, that's the wire you want to grab. The last wire, if you grab that, you were too late.
Oh.
Right? Because then you'd have to put the F-18 in full throttle and take off again and hope you can get off the ship right away, right? So we get out, and the commanding officer comes up, and he says to the pilot, he goes, that's pretty good. Second wire. That's great. You got our pilot. You got our sailors here today. He goes, now, gentlemen, just get down into the hangar bay. And I remember him saying to me, this is going to be the first day of your life that's going to change you. Wow. Right? He said, it's going to change the way you look at things. It's going to change the way you view each other. It's a brotherhood here. And one goal, one mission is to get everyone back home safe to their families. And he goes, and that's what we do here. He goes, and if you don't like it, get back on the plane. And I hope you grab the last wire the next time if you try to come out here. And that makes, it made me feel like, wow, this is serious.
This is real.
Right?
This is not Maverick. This is not Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
This is not Top Gun. This is real.
This
is real.
And you know what I love the most about the Navy, Sid? Is the fact that you get to meet people from all walks of life, from all over the country, right? And you get to know them. And there's one common goal. They were fighting for the country, and they all believed in what they were fighting for and coming back home.
I wish I wish this show was simulcast right now. Because I wish they can see your face.
Yeah.
Like there's a smile and a glow and a pride that is emanating from you. I never served, but I feel it. I feel it. This is not Chad putting on a show for the radio. This is how you really feel. You're very proud today.
I am.
As you should
proud. I'm proud of the people who are serving currently, and I'm proud of all the veterans on the street. That's why when you talk to a veteran sometimes, tell me what you did. They don't want to talk about what's going on because you almost feel guilty for the people who are actually serving right now and who has given the ultimate price, their life, who are not here with us today.
Yes.
So thank you for your support.
We're proud
You're doing
of you,
a great
man.
job. Thank you, Sid.
You're welcome. We're proud of you. We love you. That's and again, I think a lot of the things you learned in the Navy is the reason why you're the best programmer in radio today. I mean that. You're the best president in radio today. You're able to take a lot of those leadership skills that you learned in the service, apply it to this, and you're the best. So
That's true. One last thing that they said, you're only as good as your people. Sid, you're great. That's why we're great.
Thank you very much. Get out of here. Get out of here. That's thank you very much. Hey, make sure you cut that up, by the way, for the next time we have a meeting. And Chad said you were late. Chad Lopez, that's a real American hero right there. He's a great boss, a dear friend, and a real American hero. Thank you, Chad. Thank you. We'll take a short break. We'll get to Alan Dershowitz, another great man, coming up right after this.
But the restlessness was handed down, and it's getting very hard to
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
For my friends.
77 WABC.
Oh, beautiful, far heroes proved in liberating strife. Who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America.
The great late Ray Charles on this Veterans Day. You know, every Monday now we've been bringing on Alan Dershowitz, the best attorney ever. I love Dersh. And I love this new Monday tradition. So here he is, our first conversation since Donald Trump once again won the presidency. My dear friend, the great Alan Dershowitz. Dersh, Trump is back in office. Your thoughts?
Well, first, happy and meaningful Veterans Day. My relatives fought in the Second World War, and I never pass a veteran without thanking him, and if they need, giving them some money. I pushed very hard at Harvard Law School for the admission of veterans to the law school. Talk about affirmative action. If you want to, help people who have helped the country, you give a little bit of a break to a veteran, and we did that at Harvard Law School, and we benefited from it because veterans were our best students.
I'm not sure they do that. That's beautiful, and I know you're that way, Alan. I know you are, but I'm not sure Harvard does that anymore. I bet against it.
I don't know. I would hope so. I left Harvard 10 years ago. It's been a very, very different place since I left, and
what happened in Amsterdam is a direct result of what happened in places like Harvard. They're calling for globalize the Intifada, and what happened in Amsterdam was globalization of the Intifada. Now, you wouldn't believe that if you read the New York Times. The New York Times blames it all on Israelis who were yelling Am Yisrael Chai and cheering for the Maccabi team. But if you read other real accounts of what happened, you'll know that this was well planned in advance. I would hope that the Trump administration, when it comes to power, would really make it clear to European countries that they cannot tolerate this kind of thing, because it's going to spread. It's going to spread beyond Amsterdam. Holland was, after Germany and Austria, the worst Nazi country in all of Europe. It turned in more Jews. They regarded themselves as Aryans, and they were complicit with Hitler. So it's not surprising to me that of all the countries, Holland has been the worst in this recent spate of anti-Israel and anti-Semitic, them along with Norway.
Yeah.
But we have to get tougher on these countries, and I think Donald Trump will get tougher on these countries.
Not just these countries. Let's go right here. I mean, here we are again talking about Colombia on this Veterans Day, where you just said something beautiful, and we've had a bunch of guests on today that have proudly served this country. What are they doing there today? They're honoring the martyrs of the Intifada. This is getting ridiculous. I had Elise Stefanik on this show on Friday, and since she was on Friday, it's been announced she's going to be the UN ambassador, and what a tremendous choice. And I asked her flat out, I said, with Donald Trump as president, is this nonsense? Because she hammered all these university presidents. Is this nonsense going to stop? And she said, yes, we're going to stop funding these schools.
Absolutely. She's right. I had lunch with her a few weeks ago. She is fantastic. And what she did, how she took apart not only these presidents, but their lawyers. I mean, these presidents were all prepared by their lawyers to talk about context. And Elise, who's a street person, she knows how to deal with tough people, and she'll be great at the UN. I just want to congratulate the president for making such a smart choice. I hope he continues to make smart choices for National Security Advisor, Secretary of State, and I'm a little concerned. I hope he doesn't start thinking about who's going to run against Vance 4 years from now. He has to have a great administration, and he has to pick the very, very, very best people now, not worry about what happened in the past,
but I got to think I got to think you would applaud the choice of Susie Wiles as chief of staff. Yes.
I do. I am concerned about the disqualification of Mike Pompeo, who I think would have been a great Secretary of Defense.
But Mike Pompeo is on with Brian Kilmeade saying that some of these these protesters had the right to do it. I don't want that guy.
They have the right. They have the right to do it, but but the universities have the right and the obligation to condemn them. If I were writing, a statement for the president of Harvard, the first thing I would say is, this is like the Ku Klux Klan or the Nazis. Yeah. They have the right to be there, but we have an obligation to condemn them. And if we wouldn't let the Klan and the Nazis attack women and gays and blacks, then we can't allow them to attack Jews. We can't have a double standard. That's the key, a double standard. You must do to Hamas supporters what you would do to Ku Klux Klan supporters. If you make any difference in the way you treat them, you're engaging in absolute bias, and the speech is no longer protected by the First Amendment, particularly if it's a private university like Columbia.
So you and I went back and forth about this election for a long time, Alan. Yeah. You at one point said, I'm done with the Democrat Party. You never said you were voting for Trump. And to this day, I have no idea who you voted for, although, gun to my head, if it meant my life, I bet you vote on Trump. But I don't know. So, but here it is. I could never have predicted he was going to win as big as he did. And you know this, Alan, being that he won as big as he did, those were not just Republican votes. That says to me there's a lot of Democrats and independents out there that saw enough to say, I don't really like you, but I trust you can fix this. There's no doubt about that.
There's no doubt about that in my mind. And also I think there's been a distortion of the Jewish vote. I think there are a lot more Jewish voters who traditionally vote Democrat who either didn't vote or voted for Trump, particularly among those who care about Israel, those who care about their Jewish religion and their Jewish heritage. When you count anybody who has a single, if you use the Nazi definition of who's a Jew and count anybody who has any association with Jewishness, and then you say, well, only 27% of them, voted for Trump, that's misleading. You have to count Jews who really identify as Jews and identify with Israel, and the number of those who supported Trump is very, very high, much higher than it was in past elections.
So, in the final 60 seconds, and if you wouldn't mind, could you come back a second time this week? Because I want to talk about Thank you. I love you. In the final 60 seconds, the Democrat Party, are they in trouble, or this go away and in 4 years if Trump isn't all that good? I feel like they're in trouble. What are your thoughts?
I hope they're in trouble. I don't want to see the Democratic Party bounce back with AOC and Sanders and Warren still having dominant positions. If they want to bounce back, if they want to get my support and the support of others like me, they have to change dramatically. They have to marginalize the left-wing extremists in their party. They have to move toward the center. Otherwise, I'm very happy to see them lose in the marketplace of ideas and to keep losing and losing and losing. I am not a supporter of the current Democratic Party.
Fair enough, Alan. Let's get you back on this week. There's legal stuff to discuss as well. I love you. Great job as always today, and happy Veterans Day to you.
You too. Bye.
The great Alan Dershowitz right there. What a way to wrap up this Monday show. We are done for today. That'll do it. And it was a great show. Louis, great job with the music and the movie cuts. The great Lou Ruffino, who's a tremendous American, mind you. And Justin Ellick, who's not really a great American. He's fine. Who's that goofy kid who just, goes to Eagles games? And Noam Layton, what can I say about you?
Him too much because...
God willing, as my dear friend Gene says, we'll all be back tomorrow morning for a 6 a.m. Tuesday show. Maybe, I think Tom Homan will be here. Maybe Tulsi Gabbard as well. We missed her today. Either way, the guests will be great. We'll be great. We'll have some fun. We'll see you out there, folks, on Fifth Avenue for the Veterans Day Parade. Once again, take some time to reflect on these brave heroes that protect us every day. America the beautiful. God bless America. God bless New York. God bless you. We'll talk tomorrow. Peace.
God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned thy good. Yes, he did. Every brotherhood.